Hey guys, sup. Oh, welcome. We are going to be going through the reveal stream today. Today's gonna be a shorter stream. I'm going to be rewatching this, and hopefully I find something I didn't think about the first time. But odds are I'm not going to see too much. I say this because I think I actually have more to watch in the Q&A than here, because I mean I'm making my next video, and I kind of scripted it, and I kind of went through a whole lot of content for it. So while I didn't fully rewatch this, I just went off of things I knew were said and areas I already knew, and I'm going to fully watch it for the second time now. We'll see if it is any I guess verbiage that I didn't notice the first time, or if there's anything I didn't notice. Basically, that's kind of the hope here. And yeah, that's basically it. Once I go through this, if nothing too interesting, I will go to the Q&A. We'll see. But yeah, looking forward to it. I want to make sure I get everything that I could have before before releasing said video, just so I know I dot all my T's, or cross all my T's and dot all my I's, or whatever they say.
Now, Path of Exile 2 is going into early access in around 2 weeks on December the 6th. But even though it's early access, this isn't just some small taste. The game is huge. In this live stream, we're going to be introducing everything you can expect. So without further ado, let's roll the gameplay trailer.
Existence is a thing of beauty. Precious.
I still have no idea who this is.
Life and death are mortal enemies, and yet bound to one another.
I'd assume he's part of the Val Empire.
Life and death are mortal enemies, and yet bound to one another.
Yeah, this is fucked. That is fucked.
The continuation of life must be protected at all costs.
Yeah, I think this have to be the Val.
Some have
what the fuck?
All costs.
What the hell? I mean, here it's very clean for a Val area. Isn't it typically a whole lot more bloody and stuff?
Some have said,
but like this is, this is more than.
To this, I say, there can be no salvation without sacrifice.
So yeah, I have to assume he's a part of the Val, going on and on about, sacrifice. In the transformation, I like how in the teaser they showed that transformation, and I mean, some people theorized that it was a clear class, but it was so hard to believe. Not that it was actually hard to believe, but like the concept that you can transform on a non-druid, I was not expecting, This one has 1, 2, 3 exits. Should probably take a screenshot of this. Wait, there is something I actually want to add to my script about the end game.
Those who obsess with death.
Can I say this guy is actually a pretty cool fight?
Be a acquainted with it.
And I kind of really like the concept of the pinnacles, where every single time you do them, well, with the difficulty nodes,
even in early access,
it adds more mechanics and it makes it harder in a way that is not just life and damage reduction or more damage, you know.
Big game. It's actually been 5 years since we announced PoE 2, and over that time we've revealed a lot, but it's been in bits and pieces. It's pretty hard to keep track of it all, so today we're going to do a full rundown of all the content that will be available at the start of early access. Classes, character progression.
You know, it's kind of wild that they covered everything. Like, I mean, everything in an hour. Because like yesterday during the stream, it felt like it was so much longer than an hour before the Q&A.
A full overview of the end game. This is going to be a big one, so get comfortable. For 20 years, Rayclast has been free from any sources of corruption.
Then the Count decided, I don't want peace.
Tempted by promises of power, intends to harness
problems always.
The dead are rising, monsters are mutating, and madness is spreading. Under the dark influence of corruption, the Count doles out sentences of death.
But if he's going to be the Act 1 boss, which I assume he will be, what the fuck are we going to do? I mean, Act 2 and Act 3 are in different zones entirely, so obviously we've gone past the counts, but I'm just curious. Is it just the beast corruption we're chasing? Or is it that person who was talking at the start? I assume he is the final boss. I assume he is Act 6 boss, basically. That is my assumption, personally.
Who would question him?
So I don't think we're going to get him in the early access, because they also didn't even mention who he is, but they also didn't want to spoil too much, so it's still possible we do fight him. I would again just be very surprised if we did.
And this is where you find yourself at the start.
Rio, thank you for the follow. How you doing?
Traverse the barren plains of the Vesteri Desert and delve into the jungle ruins of Utsal, an ancient Val city.
Of course, it's a bot.
Hidden ruins, lost camps and treasures, roaming merchants, and of course, unique bosses. No two areas.
PoE2 section is currently filled with them, apparently.
It falls to you to track down the seed of corruption, the source of all this devastation. On the way, you'll face fearsome monsters, meet strange characters, forge unlikely bonds, and uncover lost civilizations. But first, you'll need to pick a class. Now, early access will initially have 6 classes available. Let's have a look at them. The Monk is a fast and furious melee fighter. He dashes in and out of combat.
If there's any class, like there are two classes I think I'm very interested in. Well, 3 classes I think I'm very interested in trying. The Witch, the Sorceress, and the Mercenary.
Using a skill gem will open the gem cutting menu, which shows all the active skills available in PoE 2. You can choose an existing skill to level up, or choose to engrave a new one.
Tempest Bell.
This is a level 7 skill gem. Even if you pick a new skill, it will immediately be level 7, so there's no harm in trying out something new. The Monk primarily uses the quarterstaff.
I like that the quarterstaff has a bell on it as well.
Lightning,
almost signifying that that's his, like, it's mainly his skill, you know.
And wind. But don't think you have to stick to just one. The best combos are going to involve mixing elements of all 3. Let's try Killing Palm. Like many monk skills, this can be used to quickly take advantage of a specific situation. If there's an enemy on low life, you can use Killing Palm to dash to them and kill them instantly. This will provide a power charge. Then we can use a different skill to consume that power charge for a much more devastating attack. The Monk also has powerful combo skills. Tempest Bell, for example.
Why does he look like he's like
giant resonating bell?
He has a green theme here, like poison-like.
You can also do things like freeze or shock the bell, which will add elemental damage to the strikes. The Monk also has a variety of abilities to empower his staff. If an enemy is close to being stunned, you can use Staggering Palm to punch them down. After that, any attack you do will shoot out wind projectiles. There are 21 active skills for quarterstaves, so this just scratches the surface of the options that you have. By endgame, you'll be dashing from pack to pack, spewing projectiles and obliterating screens of enemies with huge combo attacks.
That shatter was nice.
A little slower, but hits much harder than the warrior is for you. He pounds the ground with big chunky attacks and can shrug off the hits of small enemies with large amounts of armor. Even though the mace slams are slow, you never lose control. Longer attacks can be retargeted as you go, and if you find yourself committed to a long attack, you can dodge roll out of it at any time. Among the skill option for maces, you will find a variety of slams, fire attacks, war cries, and shield skills. Here, I'm going to slam the ground, rending it apart with lines of fire. Any slam skill will then cause these fissures to erupt with lava. I can even run through them with a skill like Stampede to do huge amounts of damage.
One thing I'm also going on the lookout for today is I am very curious if I will see any enemy mobs that would make good specters. I think that's one thing I also want to do as I'm going through the stream, because I have seen a few that were interesting, and there have been a few that have been pointed out to me that show up as early as, you know, Act 1, the Twilight Strand, the first area. So like, I don't know when or you obviously don't know when we unlock the Ray Spectre gem, but we might have a viable Spectre as soon as that. So I also saw one, I think it was, I don't know what act it was actually. It wasn't Act 3, that's for sure. I think it was one of the later acts, the one where Jonathan played, the one that has the sun temple thing in the middle of the room. I feel like that's like between the acts 4 to 6 that we're not gonna get.
Also use war cries, which can empower your next skill. Seismic Cry, for example, will double any slams from your next attack. The Stampede counts as a slam, so I can double that for even more craziness. If you want to go a little faster and be a little more defensive, equip a shield. In PoE 2, you can raise your shield at any
this
time.
Guy is so beautifully animated.
Even spells.
Like the quality on him.
Your shield, your stun meter will build as you take damage, so be careful. If it reaches 100%,
oh, this guy's from PoE 1.
You will be vulnerable.
They look even nastier now.
Blockable attacks, which are indicated by this red flash. If you see one of these coming, make sure to dodge out of the way.
I don't know how many non-bosses have unblockable attacks.
Like Shield Charge, which allows you to charge towards enemies and stun them. While charging, you're also blocking the whole time, so you have full damage immunity from the front. The warrior also has access to totems.
I'm also going to make a melee totem build. I already know.
Placed to stun nearby enemies and trigger aftershocks.
Wait, what?
Some totems have built-in abilities like Shockwave Totem, which can be placed to stun nearby enemies and trigger aftershocks like those from the earthquake.
That's the first time I watched the stream, I didn't know what kind of totem it was. I just heard the aftershock part.
But you can also get ancestral warrior totems, which allow you to use any slam skill in your repertoire.
This I'm definitely going to be using.
Skill, which means that it's a skill you can put other skills into. I can take a slam like Sunder and socket it into my ancestral warrior totem. Now when I summon him, he'll sit there and slam the monsters from a distance. There are 20 active skills for maces, so there's a lot more to try out. But by endgame, you're going to be dropping hammers from the sky, leaping fearlessly into combat, and separating the very earth you stand on.
Use Ancestral War Totem and Shockwave Totem so they create their own shitting on shockwaves.
But we wanted to make sure
that is honestly
agile as well.
That is a class I could play just because of totems, melee totems specifically.
Combined with all the skills the ranger has that allow you to jump around, you will have a lot of mobility in combat.
These mobs kind of look like bugs.
A variety of lightning, poison, ice, and physical attacks. Lightning attacks bounce around between targets. You can also stick lightning arrows in the ground which explode when hit by the bouncers, or electrocute enemies to take them out of combat. Ice attacks allow you to slow and freeze enemies to keep them away from you. Using poison, not only can you slowly damage your enemies from afar, but also grow some...
Poison looks so cool.
With 21 bow skills and all the mobility and combo tools the ranger has, you can take advantage of every situation. By endgame, you'll be creating hundreds of arrows, be they falling from the sky, bouncing around between enemies, or spraying out of tornadoes. You might have noticed in the bottom left of the screen that the flask slots look a little different. In PoE 2, you have one dedicated life flask slot and one mana flask slot. Flasks gain charges as you kill enemies, and typically allow you to heal 6 or 7 times if they're full. It's not the only thing you can use charges for. Charms are a new item type that will automatically defend you from various debuffs or damage types. Having trouble with getting frozen? Equip a Thawing Charm. When it's fully charged, it will make you immune to freeze for 3 seconds if you get frozen. To recharge them, just kill more monsters. You can gain more slots for charms by upgrading your belt. The mercenary for charms by upgrading your belt.
Dousing or ignite. So is this just how we would get ailment immunity? I would have to hope there are other sources as well, and charms don't become just useless the moment you do that.
Path of Exile 2 can be controlled with WASD, which makes this class play exactly like a shooter. For the crossbow, you will find skills that work like shotguns, sniper rifles, assault rifles, and even grenade launchers. But not only that, there are a wide variety of more interesting elemental ammos too. It's very fast to switch between ammo types, so long as you already have them loaded, which makes the mercenary able to combo abilities together for devastating effect. Use Glacial Bolt to create walls of ice to separate enemies, then switch to fragmentation rounds to explode the ice, dealing massive AoE damage. If I come across an armored enemy, I could use armor-piercing rounds to break their armor, and then high-velocity rounds to take them down. Or perhaps I could fire a gas grenade to poison enemies before detonating the cloud with an explosive shot for massive damage. If you want to call in some suppressing fire, you can summon artillery ballistas. These have a minimum range, so you'll want to prepare your position carefully before moving in. There are 22 active skills for crossbows. By any
Did I pause?
These have a minimum
I
range,
took it
so
back.
you'll want to prepare your position carefully before moving in.
They have a minimum range. That kind of sucks.
Call in some suppressing fire, you can summon artillery ballistas. These have a minimum range, so you'll want to prepare your position carefully before moving in. There are 22.
It didn't look like they have a minimum range. This guy's still shot, right? Where?
Range, so you'll want to prepare your position.
Like this one is shot, that one shot, this one should shoot.
There are 22
It did look like they stopped.
By endgame, you'll be calling destruction down from the sky as you litter the battlefield with grenades and pepper.
Fun fact: this is a class who has an ascendancy that might actually be very good for minions. This the mercenary in the form of the Gemlin Legionnaire, I think is what they called it. I'll go over why it could be good once we get to the ascendancy section, but just keep that in mind. Like, mercenary is probably going to be a viable option.
Your enemies with your automatic shotgun. If you're looking to take a back seat and let your minions do the work, then the Witch should be your choice. She can call forth hordes of undead monsters to fight for her while casting powerful chaos spells that debilitate her enemies.
I think day one of the stronger I guess archetypes to play for the Witch would also be the Chaos Dot minion setup, where you infect people with Contagion and was it Contagion, Essence Drain, you know the works, Chaos Dot, and then you have that kill the enemies, and then you summon zombies and bone crawlers, I think they're called, from their corpses, and then they spread the Chaos Dot even further. Now, we obviously don't know if the secondary Chaos Dot from said minions would scale off of your damage or of theirs, because I mean, now it's a minion, it gets very blurry real quick. But I would hope it's the same as its scales with yours, because that would make it a whole lot less confusing, or easy. It would make it also, I don't say it would make it easier to scale, but make it easier to scale, because then we know, okay, this is how we scale it, this is how we scale that. But if it scales off of minions stuff, then we're just going to have to rely on our minions to kill the things after they have been after we have applied the dots. Then all we're doing is scaling minion stats, which would make it one dimension and very like easy to deal with, right? Easy to scale. But it's going to be interesting to see what they, I guess, it's going to be interesting to see how they approach it and how they deliver the information on whose stats it's scaling off of, basically. Because at this moment, I don't think we know anything about who. We just know it works this a certain way. We don't know how, you know, the intricacies of that certain way, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Skills are some of the most varied in the game, with skeletons, noxious spells, specialty minions, curses, and sacrificial magic. Before we talk about minions, we'll have to talk about a new resource in Path of Exile 2 called Spirit.
This beautiful blue line,
which allows you to pick from a...
That reminds me, do we in PoE 2DB, do we have level scaling for any gems? Because I've also heard that minion skills in general scale their reservation efficiency multiplier. So the lower leveled ones take more, they're less efficient with spirits, so they end up taking more spirit per minion to reserve. But then the more you level up the gem, the less it takes. And I have a reason to believe it, but I'd also like to see if we have anything of the sort here. Herald of Ash is the exact same thing. While active gains energy when one of the minions dies. This is a very cool concept. Cast on minion death could easily pair well with minion instability, which will probably be a keystone in this. Well, was it a keystone or a support gem? I feel like minion instability was a support gem, not a keystone anymore. Raging Spirits. Oh, so this is how Raging Spirit is. It's now an aura. But if you didn't know how Raging Spirits currently work, you basically activate said aura, and whenever you cast an AoE fire skill, depending on how wide the AoE is, it summons Raging Spirits from it. So you use stuff like maybe Fireball, or I don't know, the Fire Sun ability they showed at some point here, and you use just stuff like that to summon them. Like, it's all written here. Minions convert this, yada yada yada. Fire area spells summon a spirit per this meter of radius. So the wider it is, the more spirits it summons. Projectors from this summon a spirit on hits, but you have to hit something. It's not just free. You don't just spam Raging Spirit and they come up. Jeez. Okay. Ancestral Warrior Totem. I am looking forward to being able to use this. I remember when I found out there was no melee totem in PoE when I first started. The disappointment, because it just meant that I probably wouldn't play a melee build. This is a level 8 gem. We really don't know the level differences, it looks like. There it is. The buff that deals chaos dot if the enemy dies, and all other chaos damage will spread. Reanimating or detonating a corpse affected by this will cause the minion to spread contagion on it. So I assume it's spreading your contagion, which is scaling off of your stats and not the minion stats. That is my assumption. I think it's a safe assumption, but we don't know for a fact.
A range of persistent skills. All classes have a variety of these skills which can add some very interesting effects, like Arctic Armor, which does cold damage to enemies that hit you, or Raging Spirits, which summon fiery skulls each time you cast a fire spell.
I like how I assume this person has scaled AoE up the wazoo, so he just throws a fireball, he has this huge AoE, and then that 7 Raging Spirits spawn from there. And I think it honestly looks pretty cool when you throw that big AoE and their fire spirits are just there, because
we'll want to be using our spirit to create permanent minions. These minions will be revived automatically when they die, so you don't have to worry about resummoning them all the time. Here I'm using the skill screen to allocate which minions I would like in my horde. You can see the spirit cost of each one. Skeletal Warrior.
I don't know the details on this character in particular, but let's see. Skeleton Arsonist. $90 spirits, level 1. It's a level 1 gem, right? So 90 spirit, but you can see here the Arsonist is 35 spirit at level 8. So the reservation goes like way down. And then what else do we have?
I would like in my horde.
Warriors are 23. Warriors are 20. This is a level 6. This is a level 8. So maybe they were nerfed? Question mark? Because this is clearly lower than that. This is a level 6, a level 8. But this has more spirits, yet this has way less. I don't know.
You can see the spirit cost of each one. Skeletal warriors are cheap but weak, useful for tanking damage and distracting enemies. But I want more heavy hitters in my army, so I'm going to unsummon some warriors and instead add skeletal arsonists. Permanent minions come with special active abilities called command skills in my army, so I'm going to unsummon some warriors and instead add skeletal arsonists. Hitters in my army, useful for.
Oh yeah, this is spirits here. This is ES. Is this how ES looks now? I mean, it's cool, but kind of looks small.
Permanent minions come with special active abilities called command skills. You can order these guys to detonate your own minions for even more damage and area of effect. If you want a bigger army, you'll need a scepter. This new weapon type is imbued with even more spirit, allowing you to summon even more friends.
By the way, look at these stats here. Increased spirit, which is just big. This one alone comes with 116. So odds are going to end up dual wielding scepters, very likely. But not only that, it has like +1 to all minion skills. It has allies in your presence deal increased damage. Allies in your presence have accuracy. Allies in your presence have yada yada yada. I just hope this presence is not a short AoE. Or even better, they actually show the AoE of said thing, because you don't want a situation where you have things that are happening to nearby allies in PoE 1, and before you like you cut a corner and suddenly it's not being applied. You don't want that to apply to like even your weapons and whatnot. So we'll have to see how they do it as well.
And if you want an even bigger army than that, you can take advantage of corpses to summon true hordes of minions. But what can a witch do while her army is at work? Well, she has a range of chaos spells to spread disease amongst your enemies, or bone skills to impale them. Or, you know, you could curse them to make them weaker so your horde can take them down. There are 25 active occult skills. By the endgame, you will be the leader of a fearsome army of the dead, consuming everything in its path. The sorceress bends the elements to her will, using them to unleash devastation on her foes. This classic.
There's also one scene I'm trying to remember.
The elemental
oh yeah, so it is ES. Where's my mouse?
Fireballs,
it is
ES. Lightning storms, you get the idea. Each spell is unique and has many different ways to build and combo with others, even between different elements. For example, Flame Wall conjures a burning line that not only damages enemies, but also empowers all projectiles that pass through it. If you place a wall and fire lightning sparks through it, they'll gain extra fire damage. It's a good idea to take advantage of the ability to automatically swap weapons when you use certain skills. Having a special staff with bonuses to fire skills and another with bonuses to lightning skills can really power up a combo like this. The sorceress can also take advantage of powerful trigger gems. For example, you could grab the Cast and Ignite gem and use it with Firestorm. As you ignite enemies, a counter will go up in the top left corner. When it's full, a Firestorm will automatically be cast at the enemy that was ignited. There are 25 active elemental skills. By endgame, you'll be firing off projectiles left and right as you rain down elemental storms.
Is this cast on shock?
Now, those are the characters that will be available at the start of early access, but we will be adding 6 more character classes with just as many skills and options as these. There's a lot more to come. There's one more important thing to mention about skills. Even though we talk about them as belong to each class, in reality there are no restrictions. You can use all these skills on any class so long as you have the attributes. For example, a Poison Ranger might want to try out using Occult Curses to increase her poison damage. Or a Monk might want to trigger Elemental Ice Walls to use with his Glacial Cascade combo. The possibilities for cross-class combos...
Wait a second, wasn't this Ice Wall a crossbow skill? Where you would shoot with the, you would have you had a projectile you would shoot on the ground and that would create the ice wall, and then you could break it with the different shots. So you can just summon the wall. Interesting.
Or a Monk might want to trigger Elemental Ice Walls to use with his Glacial Cascade combo. The possibilities for cross-class combos are practically unlimited. We're looking forward to what kind of things you guys might find. Now, Path of Exile is a game known for build customization, and we haven't
the mercenary and the bell.
What is possible yet. So let's talk about support gems. Path of Exile 2 has a system of support gems that can be combined with your active skills to dramatically change the way they work. If you find a support gem, then right-clicking it will open up this screen. Here
what the fuck is
recommended
this?
Support gems for each of your skills that you can pick between.
What is
For
this?
example, this is a multiple projectiles support gem and can be used to add multiple projectiles to any skill. Normally, when you fire a grenade, it'll look like this. But if we add multiple projectiles, then you get 3 of them. Once you have the gem, you can also freely move it between any of the skills on your character. If you want to have a multi-shot sniper rifle instead, then simply move the gem over to your high-velocity round skill. Generally speaking, if it sounds like a support gem should work with a skill, then it will work. So it's a good idea to experiment. Note that you can only have one of each support gem on your character, so you'll want to think carefully about which supports can be used best with each skill for maximum damage. Now, if you want to stick to the recommendations, you should have a perfectly good time. But if you want to experiment a bit more, then uncheck that recommended button and you can see the full list of supports that will work with your skill. There are hundreds of support gems to choose from, and even we don't know the results of all the possible ways these can interact. Each skill can have up to 5 supports socketed into it, and if you're clever, you can come up with some pretty interesting ideas. Now, all of this is just scratching the surface. You can make frost vortexes, break people's armor, make minions explode, make skills repeat, make enemies set each other on fire, cull enemies, or pin them to the ground. Supports let you drastically change the behavior of your skills and create your own unique build, or at least follow someone's OP build guide. So, speaking of builds, let's talk about one of the most iconic Path of Exile systems, the passive skill tree.
I remember seeing something here where they... So this is the sorceress, and so is this the witch? No, this is the...
It's huge. There are over 1,500 nodes on there.
Now, a lot of people Why is this not the witch?
You can get a little intimidated at first, but try not to be scared. There are lots of options, but at its core, it's pretty simple. Each level, you get 1 point to put into the tree. Each class starts at a different location, but they all share the same tree. Around your section of the tree, you'll find relevant
this is
bonuses for
definitely
your
witch.
character. You should be safe in the knowledge
Unless the
that there
witch and the
aren't any wrong
sorceress are
choices
starting
here.
from the exact
Almost
same
all the
spot.
starting nodes will be useful for your character
Which
in some way.
actually that would make sense because I don't see them wanting to make more nodes in the tree. Like, let's say the druid is, let's say this, I think the druid is like int and strength, so they would probably wouldn't want to create something here or here. They probably just have you start from the exact same place. Or,
here.
I don't know.
Almost all the starting nodes will be useful for your character in some way. But if you do happen to make a choice you regret, you'll be able to respec any nodes you've taken.
It was here. This is the minion area, and this looks like it's coming straight up. But I guess what we could do is we could look at the nodes surrounding it, the life here. Well, no, it's not life, but this is something. Red ES looking thing here. And we can go back to here. If we say we're starting off here, it was upright and it had the I think it was like, it looked like this, but it wasn't here. So where could it have actually have been? Yeah, it is. There it is. It's this one. This is the one that looks like life, and this is the ES area. So yeah, the witch does start here.
Attribute no.
Now where are we? I went too far forward.
To make a choice you regret.
So yeah, here.
Be able to
this is the witch. If I
a little bit of gold.
This is minion, and this is the area I mentioned. So the witch and the sorceress start from the exact same point.
Now, the tree is generally divided up into clusters which have similar themes. In each cluster, you will find small nodes that give simple bonuses like increased damage, but the real power comes from notables. Notables normally have much more interesting bonuses, and they tend to care a lot more about how your build works and what skills you're using. For example, in the mercenary area of the tree, this one gives a 25% chance for crossbow skills to not consume.
I'm still very curious as to what buff this is, because I saw a lot of mobs along this entire reveal that just look like this with the lines, and it's like, is it like some insanity buff or deep? Well, it can be a debuff, but it makes them stronger. But is it like something like that? Is it the plague just spreading? What the fuck is it?
And here's one that gives grenades a chance to blow up a second time. This one gives a chance for projectiles to rebound off terrain, as well as giving you
like, look at it, they are the same way here.
Even though this is in the mercenary section, this would work with projectiles from all classes. So there are often reasons to go to different areas of the tree. In order to get between these clusters, you will generally have to allocate nodes in the attribute highways. Attribute nodes allow you to pick which attribute you would like to use. So it's very easy to get.
When you're respecing or just straight up like applying a bunch of points as an example, do you really have to click twice every single attribute point? Because that get annoying real quick. Can we just say, okay, just pick dexterity and then you can click somewhere else to unlock dexterity and then start picking a different attribute basically. Thank you for the follow. It looks like was that on YouTube? Appreciate you.
Points for any attribute that your gear might need. You can change which attribute these nodes give you for half price at the respec vendor. In addition to notables, you will also find even larger passives called keystones. Keystones have both an upside and a downside.
Yeah, hopefully we don't have to click twice on every single node. Like, I get the concept, but and I guess we don't respect that often. But it'd still be annoying though. It would still be annoying.
Changing your entire build to design around them. A great example is Giant's Blood, which allows you to wield two-hand weapons in a single hand, but doubles the attribute requirements of them. You can use a two-hand
one thing I noticed about this
with a shield or even dual wield them.
Is like, look, I know there were people who theorized that Giant's Blood would basically double the level requirements as well, because it's just a double attribute or double requirements initially. Now it says attributes, so it doesn't care about the level. So Chris, thank you for the follow. Oh god, it's a bot. Get the fuck out. So yeah, the theory way back when was that you would have to use lower level two-handed weapons, but they could, they're still two-handed weapons, so they would still give the big stats that two-handed weapons typically give. Well, I'm glad to see that's not the case, and this obviously leaves this will lead to a lot of interesting builds, basically. Especially among attribute stackers, because I assume your attribute stackers is just a no-brainer to want to use two-handers instead of one hand. Especially when you already have the attribute requirement because you're stacking, you know.
You can use a two-hand mace with a shield or even dual wield them.
But like this one requires 200 strength, and if each attribute highway point gives 5 strength, you're gonna need a ton of them to get through the requirements of like both of these. But if it's only strength, then you just hard send strength on all your gear and you don't go for any hybrids, and you should be fine. But you also have to probably get attributes on some gear so you can use support gems from like int or dexterity or whatever else, because support gems also have the attribute requirements where, okay, if you have only, let's say 50 dex, maybe you can only use 3 green support gems or 3 green gems. So if you want more green gems, you probably have to get more dexterity, because that's the way they currently have the skill gem system, if I remember correctly.
How about Mind Over Matter, which makes all damage go to your mana pool first before your...
Can I just say this? The fact that this is all damage, 100%, just mean like you can literally go low life and with Mind Over Matter and just have a big mana pool. Mana stackers are eating good with this Mind Over Matter, in my opinion. Now, mana stackers might actually not want to, just on the off chance that you of course you can easily get chunked to the point where you can't cast spells, and that'd be spicy. But this is a very, very interesting node. I like this iteration of Mind Over Matter versus, I won't say versus PoE1, because PoE1 also has some, some advantages with the fact that it's not 100%, which means if you have a bigger mana pool, it's harder for it to go empty, leaving you in the situation where you just can't cast anything.
Life pool, but you lose 50%.
But this is so nice.
Skills
like, and I think
these...
I also missed it yesterday. I didn't say it when I didn't see that keystone when I was live, or when the stream was live.
Can be tough to build around.
I guess full life. This says full life, so you just have to be up less than 90% of your life. So you would take this when you're reserving life pretty much. So on the build I just mentioned, the reserve life build, you would just go pay an attunement and get free CSD or critical damage bonus, I guess is what it's called here. But you just go pay an attunement and always have this, and all the damage goes through your mana. So
but if you're up for the challenge, they can be very rewarding. As we
or
showed
Omega
you
free.
earlier on the Sorceress, you can swap
Yeah, this is
between
the
weapon
witch and it
sets on the
starts from
fly as
here.
you use
So yeah,
certain skills. One of the new features in Path of Exile 2's passive tree
they start
is
from
that
the
you
same
can choose
spot.
to have your passive tree change as you switch between weapon sets to take advantage of specific bonuses on the tree. For the Sorceress, you might want to change between
Did I see lightning damage per
take advantage
intelligence?
of specific bonuses on the tree.
I did see it. This is just an easy note to get for in stackers, I guess. I guess maybe we're going to have a lot of interesting notes or notables on the tree that just allow certain levels of stacking. I'm personally hoping we get some form of stacking in the form like either attributes or like stat stacking or whatever that would somehow apply to minions, other than of course spirit stacking, because that is obvious. If you stack spirits, you just have more minions and you can just give them flat damage and have them go berserk and yada yada. But I'm hoping there are more interesting like stacking options, like maybe strength stacking with the Baron in PoE 1 as an example.
For the Sorceress, you might want to change between fire and lightning specialization. Or you could switch between one hand and a two-hand setup in order to be able to block boss attacks.
Was I a parry?
One hand and a two-hand setup in order to be.
How did he get stunned? Because like, look, and he's about to get stunned, right? But this guy is doing nothing but blocking.
Or you could switch between one hand and a two-hand setup in order to be able to block.
He didn't cast anything. He's just.
Or you could switch between one hand and a two-hand setup in order to be able to block.
How? By hitting someone that's blocked, are you building stun on yourself? And then it's just on your what is this, poise? What, I don't remember what they call this bar. Maybe blocking certain attacks stuns. Maybe, but like that would be weird. Because if you look at his bar, he doesn't click any abilities. Like, look, he doesn't click any abilities. He just gets stunned. There's no cooldown, mana didn't move. The stun just happens. Now, it's very possible. It's very possible that the shield might have a stat that would make it so attacks to it build block or stun rather. It's possible that it's something along those lines. There's an affix somewhere on his gear, and it's not a baseline interaction, because when in any place where I've seen them talk about block, they haven't mentioned the enemy getting stunned. It's always been, if you block too much, you would get, your stance would get broken, your poise, whatever they call this thing. This would empty out, and then you would get stunned, and you could die because of it. And I think they also mentioned that's in the block portion somewhere else earlier, I think. But after the spin to win, he did a different attack. Yeah, but it's like, did he build up stun getting hit?
A two-hand setup in order to be able to block boss.
Oh, there was a ground impact. Was that him? Was that the player? Or was that the boss?
Or you could switch between.
Look at this. Okay, so the player has a shockwave already down. So all he's doing is, I think he's just buying time for this to pop. So he didn't actually, it's not from the block he got stunned. It's from this shockwave over here. I think that is what is happening here.
One hand and a two-hand setup.
Yeah, that's what happened. So he did shockwave, I think. I think what's shockwave, or the thing that, shockwave totem can proc. He did that, and he was just buying time. So with that procs, he gets stunned, and then he can do something else. That's what happened. That makes more sense.
While following up with,
like, look at it. This is it. It's going to pop again. So it was that attack. This is the attack in particular.
Heavy hits from your bigger mace. Or perhaps you could have a full curse setup on your witch to debuff enemies before switching to a chaos degen build for maximum damage.
There's something to be noted about minions here, I think. This version has two different weapon sets. I watched this all live. Exactly. Like, I watched it live yesterday, so I know there are things I didn't even notice yesterday. That's why I'm coming in now to like try to find the little things I missed. and I've already seen a bunch of things I miss in this situation. Now, in this situation, in the next clip, there is a witch that is, you know, switching between weapons for cursing, and this is a minion witch. And I noticed something. It looks like the minions like almost getting desummoned or something, because like if you just look here,
have a full curse setup on your
like look, that is a desummon animation.
Debuff enemies before switching to a chaos degen build for maximum damage.
I don't understand why they are being desummoned and summoned. It's like this guy gets summoned, this one gets desummoned, this one gets summoned, insta desummoned. Is it like a ward loop type setup, or what is going on here? Or is it because she's switching the weapon and offhand, so they're getting desummoned but not really? Or like, you know, like what is it? Because keep in mind, weapons, scepters to be specific, come with spirits. So by having a scepter, you would have more spirit to have more minions. But because they want the weapon swapping to be because they want the weapon swapping to be an avid way to play the game, you know, to not have jank and whatnot, it wouldn't make sense if, like you said, the minions skill granted by the scepter just, you know, gets desummoned when you swap, or and vice versa. Like it kind of creates a gameplay difference, which would make minion players not want to swap, or to swap to other scepter setups, which would be, you know, that would be unintuitive. That would defeat the purpose of the whole weapon swap thing entirely, because then you can't switch out of a scepter, you know. But yeah, it could be something that they just haven't worked on, but they would want to work on eventually, because this is still early access, right? It's very possible that something like that. But like you can see them being desummoned. But the funny thing is, this number doesn't change. This never goes to 0 or 1, or it doesn't ever say your number of minions goes down. But it is actively desummoning and resummoning, which is interesting, of course.
Before switching to a chaos degen build for maximum damage.
But I'm honestly not seeing the difference in like the weapon.
On your witch
oh wait, no, I think I see.
Heavy hits from your bigger mace.
Let me see the weapon. Okay.
Full curse setup on your witch to debuff enemies before switching to a chaos degen build for maximum damage. If you want to
it's probably just two different scepters. But one maybe has more curse effect and stuff like that on the scepter, where the other one has like nearby allies have increased damage, nearby allies have whatever minion skill level, you know, stuff like that, while the other one is more okay, plus the level of curse skills, increased curse effect, your curses do this extra whatever, you know. Maybe that's what is going on there.
With just one weapon,
if scepter damage bonuses and bonus damage bonuses stack, because I know one thing they are pushing is they want minion players to do stuff while the minions are doing stuff, like casting curse skills or shooting bone skills, you know. They want that to be a part of the gameplay, which would give us a reason to weapon swap. We'll just have to see how it works. And if it is honestly janky, in the sense of if the swaps are desummoning minions in quote, like making them desummon and resummon, there might be some extra jank in there when it comes to the minion respawn timer. Now, I don't think desummoning would count towards minion dying to reset that timer. However, it could. So it's one of those things that we actually have no idea. We'll have to see how it actually is. But that's hopefully it doesn't actually have any gameplay negatives, basically. It could also summon dead minions. Running 6 minion witches in a group would be lol. Because I mean, it would be quite nutty especially on your PC requirements, because because I remember seeing an area, I don't remember where it is, so we'll probably end up stumbling on it randomly, but I remember seeing an area where the witch had like 15 of a particular minion and still had like 3 of some other minions. I think it was like a mage scaling minion that I had 15 of, and I was like, oh shit, That's quite nutty right there, you know? Imagine you had the clerics, so if your clerics die, you could insta summon them. 20 minions apparently a hard cap of. There's a hard cap? Why would there be a hard cap though? Do you mean like spirits is limiting it to not go over 20, or the game doesn't let you summon over 20 minions? That'd be disappointing. Now, granted, that with the amount of different ways you have to set up your army with some minions costing more spirit and some less, the chances of getting to 20, you know, it's already kind of low. It's not the greatest. Imagine you had the max level basic warrior. You get 20 of them. Yes, because then they would barely cost spirit. But then the problem with that is you would do ZDPS simply because I don't know that they are made to have the greatest base damage or even the greatest tankiness. But you'd have 20 of them. On the other side, you could have some specters that would cost less spirits than maybe some other minions, but would still be very strong to where you can potentially still get up to 20 minions. It's hard to imagine without knowing, you know, all the different spirit areas or scalars, how many minions we can get to. But I would honestly love to make a build that has as many minions as possible and is still viable. Waris Abdin, thank you for the follow. How you doing? Love to see a crappy scepter that costs nothing. Yeah, I think there's a specter I've been looking at in Act 1. It's a crab and it has a projectile. It looks like a specter that wouldn't cost much, but the projectile honestly looks pretty decent as a baseline. Now this specter looks squishy, and I'm honestly not sure if it would even be good in terms of base damage, but it'd be cool if we can mix certain specters that have certain, you know, buffs and debuffs with each other to make this synergistic approach where maybe one applies armor break and the other one uses armor break but has an armor break ability that has a long cooldown. So you mix these two so that it, you know, the armor break one or the one that uses armor break, you know, would be supercharged pretty much. And I hope there's actually like a resource for minions or specters in the game to where we can actually evaluate how good a specter is if we want to. Armor break with crab claw would make sense. The claw. And let me put old day on them. All right, ad break. All right, since there's an ad break going on, let's pause the stream for the duration of it. It has like 2 minutes, 30 seconds left. So we're going to wait on them. I'll probably just get some water real quick. And yeah, BRB. How on earth am I getting back and the ad break still isn't done? Still has 12 seconds left. All right. It's almost done. I have some water. We're good. Welcome back. I assume there's nobody still on ad break. Says it's done. All right. So where were we? I think there's going to be non-witch minion builds that'll be fun AF as well. I agree. I'm currently looking at non-witch would be the Javelin Legionnaire, as the Javelin Legionnaire has a potential, what's it called? As a potential non-witch minion character. This guy right here. This guy. Because as we know, skill gem levels for minions are typically really sought after. So having a character that can have 3 more skills, which means, why is my cover falling? Which means more variety in the way of like someone's Spectre, because someone's Spectre, you would probably have to have a slot for every Spectre you have. So you could have a more, you could be more creative with your army basically. You don't really need to worry about your attribute cost. Depending on what quality it does, it could be big as well. This could easily be a very strong setup for minions. And of course, the current what's it called? The current main choice, or the de facto choice, is this, the Infernalist, which would give you the Infernal Hound, which takes 20% damage from hits from the Hellhound's life before you. It gives you Infernal Flame, which when you are not on low Infernal Flame, your minions contribute to Ignite and Magnitude, which I don't know exactly how that's gonna work. I don't think we know how Ignite works in PoE 2 yet, but it'd be interesting to see Ignite minions being a thing. But yeah.
Set, you can just use these specialization points as bonus points to invest however you like, but creative players will find plenty of opportunities with this system. You can get weapon specialization points throughout the campaign from optional bosses and quests. For example, if I manage to defeat the Crowbell, I'll get a weapon specialization book. There are lots of other permanent boosts available from the campaign.
First time I saw this, I saw these.
On the map, you can see icons.
I saw plus 30 to Spirit. Yeah, I was like, oh shit, King in the Mist. Plus 30 to Spirit, big.
Indicate the many optional encounters.
He is non-optional for minion players.
Character boosts, and others have
like plus 30 to Spirit. That could easily be an extra minion.
It might be a good idea to explore and see what you can find. For example, if you defeat Blackjaw the Remnant, you'll gain a permanent increase to fire resistance. One of the most important finds are spirit bonuses. You can find the first one here in the Canopy in Act 1. Defeat the boss in this area to acquire a permanent addition of spirit. The permanent buffs.
Is this what the King in the Mist looks like in PoE 1?
Every class will find a use for them, so make sure you hunt down these upgrades. There's one in each act. Now, we haven't even talked about the most important element of character progression: items. That's why we're all here, right?
Okay, wait, give me a quick second. Okay, I'm back.
Items in Path of Exile can be broken down into 4 rarity groups: normal, magic, rare, and unique. One of the things you're going to want to do as you play through the campaign is upgrade the items you find, and you can do that with currency items. An Orb of Transmutation will allow you to upgrade a normal item to a magic item with 1 mod. You can then apply an Orb of Augmentation to add a 2nd mod, then use a Regal Orb to add a 3rd mod,
and then
upgrade it
Exalt
to a rare. Finally, you can use some Exalted Orbs to add more mods to your rare to a total of 6 mods. One of the things we think is really important is to make these options available to use as you play. All the items that add mods are much more common than they were in Path of Exile 1, so that you can use them throughout your campaign playthrough. We want you to find things on the ground that can be crafted into upgrades much more frequently. As well as making the drop rates on these items much more common, you can also get them by disenchanting unwanted gear at the magic item vendor. If you disenchant magic items, you can build up to an Orb of Transmutation, and by disenchanting rares, you can build up to Regal Orbs. Another important area of crafting items in PoE 2 is sockets. Some items you find have sockets that can have Ezomite runes placed in them that add more mods to the item. If I insert this glacial rune into my helmet, it will give extra cold resistance. This is a great way to solve problems that you have with your build, like resistances or damage. If you find socketed items that you don't have a use for, you can take them to the salvage bench in town to work towards an Artificer's Orb. This will allow you to add sockets to your existing items. Body armors and 2-hand weapons can have up to 2 sockets, while the rest of your armor and 1-hand weapons can only have 1 socket. You can also salvage items with quality to create items like armor scraps or whetstones. These will allow you to increase the quality of your items for an up to 20% boost. If you don't want to disenchant or salvage your items, you can always sell them for gold.
I think this is a hideout, by the way, in case you're wondering.
From vendors, and we've tried to do a lot to make sure that the items they have for sale are actually useful.
It could also be a town, to be honest.
Up, they get more stock, so make sure to check.
I'm not sure which it is.
Other vendors offer a gamble. Pay a flat amount of gold and you'll get a random item of a specific type. This could be a great way to improve your gear, if you're lucky. Gold is also used to respec your passive skills. Take advantage of the system to experiment with your tree and rework it as required.
You know what this wheel reminds me of? It reminds me of this wheel in PoE 1. Let's assume my PoB is going to... Yeah, okay, go. It reminds me of this wheel here. It's a mana ES wheel, and I assume it's kind of the same idea they went for with here. ES mana. So you'll be scaling both of them with this, with it.
Advantage of the system to
the icons also look similar.
As required. The other thing you might want to use gold for is the currency exchange. This allows you to exchange currency items with other players. You might want to use gold for is the.
I'm just not realizing the face here looks very animated. Interesting. I still don't understand why Alva is the one with the currency exchange. The time person is dealing with exchanging currency now.
This allows
I know there's they would explain it lore wise.
In exchange for a small gold fee. Now all items in Path of Exile are freely tradable. We never bind anything to your character except gold. Now most gear in Path of Exile 2 is randomly generated, but there's another type that isn't: uniques. They are especially rare, each with a handcrafted set of unusual mods which
that
characters build.
That especially
They're not
rare.
just better rare items. They can do much stranger things.
Does that mean
fundamentally change your
it's going to be much harder to drop uniques in PoE 2?
Corpse Wade will make any corpses you run through explode into clouds of poison. The Sands of Silk is a body armor that changes your dodge roll into a blink, morphing you into sand as you teleport past your foes. And of course, some uniques are just pure hits of dopamine, like Quill Rain, which just turns your bow attacks into full auto by doubling your attack speed. Each unique is something that you can build your character around. We try to make sure that most unique items have a potential use at endgame, even if you find them early on. And as you can see, every single unique item comes with custom art to match. The last character progression system that you can do during the campaign is Ascension. Starting in Act 2, you will come across Ascension trials, tests that you must complete to unlock your Ascension class. We'll explain these trials soon, but first let's take a look at what Ascending can do for your character. Each class has access to 3 Ascendancy classes, but at the start of early access, only 2 per class will be available.
This
Ascendancy
guy,
classes are unique
this
to each
and this,
character class, so choose
the people
wisely.
my eyes are
They can
on.
drastically affect how you build your character. As a sorceress, you could become a Storm Weaver, a master of the elements. Tempest Caller causes elemental storms to be summoned each time you do a critical hit with a spell.
But what do they do?
With Strike twice, you can stack 2 copies of Shock for more damage. And going deeper into the tree, you can make all your damage types apply Shock. Make a Shock build from any skill. Alternatively, you could become a
This is one of the coolest ascendancies that was revealed yesterday. Like when I saw the freezing time thing much earlier, and like it's in like one of the trailers, I was like, wait, what? Did she just pause the enemies?
Other time manipulation abilities. Using Temporal Rift, she can teleport back to a previous location, resetting her life and mana back to what it was. Or with Time Snap, she can reset all her cooldowns.
Like, look at all the past selves. Like, look at that.
On the Warrior, you can choose between the Warbringer or the Titan. The Warbringer channels the might of his ancestors to gain tremendous power. Using Answered Call, you can summon ancestral spirits linked to each of your totems. With Jade Heritage,
this is actually a class I could play simply because this is probably going to be the de facto totem melee totem class.
Allows you to explode the corpses of your enemies. And with Great Wolf's Howl, you can ignore the cooldowns of your war cries. Let all that anger out. The Titan class is all about hitting big. With Earthbreaker, every slam is a chance to create an aftershock.
That you use yourself.
With Crushing Impacts, every hit becomes a crushing blow, which will allow you to stun your enemies with ease. With Surprising Strength, you can take advantage of stunned enemies to deal 40% more damage. As a ranger,
I would see melee totems being viable there as well, because aside the first one that specifies skills you use yourself, you have this one where your hits are crushing blows, and if you know anything about totems in PoE, well, this includes the hits from your totems because they are technically your hits. It's the same reason on hits curses work with both totems. I want to say, like, you know, totem artillery ballista and just ballista totem in general.
Which will allow you to stun your enemies.
So with this, your totems are constantly throwing their melee skills that are going to be stunning a lot, and then you have 40% more damage against heavy stunned enemies, which would also apply to the totems. So this is also a viable ascendancy on that note.
As a ranger, you might choose to be a Deadeye, an expert markswoman who can take down foes with style. With endless munitions, every attack gains an extra projectile. With Gathering Winds, she gains a small increase to movement speed with every attack. But be careful, she loses them when getting hit. With Eagle Eyes, she will never miss, allowing you to stop wasting all those passive points on accuracy.
Like I said, we'll stop wasting.
You could become a Pathfinder, the master of flasks and poison.
The concoction class.
Throwable concoctions, allowing her to spend her flask charges to throw explosive bottles that deal various types of damage. A bleeding concoction will make your enemies bleed, while a fulminating one can shock your enemies, allowing you to do extra damage.
So one uses life, one uses mana.
Contagious Contamination allows her to spread poisons between her foes.
Flasks, that is.
Overwhelming Toxicity doubles the number of stacks they can be infected by.
Wait, what?
Between her foes.
It's interesting that now there's a max amount of stacks for poisons.
Overwhelming Toxicity doubles the number of stacks they can be infected by.
I don't know what that's going to look like in terms of like
to move much more quickly while firing.
Maximum stacks.
Makes her totally immune to being slowed by enemies. The Witch can ascend.
I didn't see Relentless Pursuit.
Totally immune. Running Assault allows her to move.
Oh yeah, this is the one I said they didn't show.
Relentless Pursuit makes her totally immune to being slowed by enemies. The Witch can ascend into the Infernalist or the Blood Mage. As an Infernalist, she can summon a loyal Hellhound companion. The Hellhound sets enemies on fire, as well as taking a percentage of the damage if the Infernalist gets hit.
I want you to notice something about the Hellhound. The reason I keep comparing this Hellhound to the Sentinel of Radiance in PoE 1, and the reason is this is basically the Sentinel of Radiance, except, you know, more PoE 2. It doesn't have the giant burn area around it, but it does have a burn area, or at least an area where enemies around it catch fire, you know, ignite. I think it's ignites, but I could be wrong. But if you watch the Hound, it's going to walk like here, and these enemies without getting hit are going to be ignited.
As well as taking a percentage of
See?
the damage.
Like this guy in particular, the moment he walked away, the fire went left.
Gets hit.
Same way like that guy. You know, more fire.
Turn your mana into infernal flame. As you cast more spells, the flame builds up.
Unless you're going for like a big ignite build on minions, I don't see this being a node you would take. And the reason being, the only reason you would take this, well, I guess there is a reason, and that reason would be so you just don't have to worry about mana. Maybe if you're going for an SRS type playstyle, this would be a node you would take, because then you literally don't have to care about mana for any reason. You just spam your fire skills. Those fire skills are going to, you know, summon the raging spirits, and you don't have to actually care about anything else. But other than that, I don't see why you like this, and the ignite node afterwards are the only reasons you would go this node. And this node itself doesn't actually give anything to minions. It's the one after that actually has a bonus to minions from everything I can see so far. This one just makes you take damage when you use mana up to a certain point.
Flows, you'll take damage. Using Bringer of Flame, you'll want to make sure you keep the flames topped up. While your Infernal Flame is...
This is what I'm talking about. This is the only reason why you would go the first node on minions, and that's because your minions contribute to ignite chance and magnitude. I don't know what this means. Maybe the more ignite magnitude on an enemy target, the bigger the ignites. Like maybe ignite consistently builds up. It's one ignite, but instead of having one ignite that constantly like does damage, it's very likely that what we have on our hands is one ignite, and then if you keep applying fire damage to the same target, that ignites gets stronger and stronger, increasing the burn. So like all your minions are contributing to that, and that's ends up being like big single target DPS, and that is very likely how ignite works.
All damage from you and your minions will ignite enemies.
But again, we don't know for a fact.
She can also transform into a literal demon.
It's just me that thinks this demon form, I don't know if it's the animation or something, but it kind of, in my opinion, fits the other ascendancy more than the fire ascendancy. It almost looks like it should be a part of the Blood Witch, not the fire ascendancy. But maybe that's just me.
While in demon form, she takes an increasing amount of damage, but her cast speed and damage increase rapidly as well. So if you're planning on transforming into a demon, make sure you stack a lot of life recovery. She can also become a blood mage, a master of life and energy. All blood mages must pay the price of making skills cost life as well as mana, but in exchange, every monster they kill will drop life remnants, which allow them to quickly gain back that life.
And this is
with Crimson
and keep in mind, this is a mandatory node. You can't skip it. So no matter what, your skills are going to cost life and mana. And it's like, why not just remove the mana cost? I don't understand that bit.
Gain large amounts of extra life, and with Vitality Siphon, she can use her spells to leech life back as well.
Just have it be blood magic basically.
Spike to make your critical hits deal incredible amounts of damage. A monk who is in tune with the elements.
And note, that's ascendancy for which has literally no...
Specialize in cold or lightning. And I Shall Rage will allow you to turn into an unbound avatar.
Why not just go both?
Status ailment to an enemy, you gain Unbound Fury.
This one is the Warden in PoE 1, basically.
Into an avatar to deal way more damage and inflict even more elemental ailments.
My guy is the Avatar.
To reach into the darkness instead. The Acolyte of Chayula can exchange their mastery of spirit for darkness, a resource that can be utilized to both absorb and deal damage.
Remove all spirit. Base max darkness is 100. For each life or energy shield lost to damage, reserve 1 darkness instead if possible. Darkness reservation lasts for 10 seconds, plus 5 to max darkness per level. So at level 100, you'd be at 500 max darkness plus the base, which is 600, which is a lot of darkness. What if this would be a way to just get insanely high spirit and you can use this for minions?
The Shroud of Darkness will protect you from all damage incoming. But if you take Grasp of the Void, you will deal extra chaos damage from all the darkness you have. Their Dark Pact offers greatly increased resistances to chaos damage and can
10% max chaos res. Oh, that's spicy.
To not only happen instantly, but apply to their energy shield as well. Another node you can take is Waking Dream, which allows energy shield as well.
Mana leech effect also recover ES. Could you get your minions to leech mana though?
Another node you can take is Waking Dream, which allows you to see into the domain of the Breach Demons. There you will see the Flames of Chayula that can be taken to gain life, mana, and damage. The Mercenary has a job to do.
But yeah, it's unlikely that it's very unlikely that would be a class we would use for minions. Very unlikely, but it's possible.
Ward, allowing you to defend yourself against elemental hits in exchange for less defense against attacks. With Zealous Inquisition, your enemies have a 10% chance to explode on death. The chance is doubled against demons and undead. With Judge, Jury, and Executioner, your initial hit against enemies can deal up to 30% of their life and damage, if you're lucky.
Jesus!
This is great for hunting powerful bosses. And with Witchbane, you can break your enemy's concentration, preventing them from casting spells as often as they would usually do.
Enemies have max concentration equal to 40% of their max life. Break enemy concentration on hits equal to 100% of... Wait, what? Break enemy concentration on hits equal to 100% of the damage dealt. Enemies regain 10% of concentration every second if they haven't lost in the past 5 seconds. So if you haven't done damage in the past 5 seconds, they regen 10%. And then, of course, they have max concentration equal to 40% of their max life. So if you do the... So if you do 40% of their life as damage, you interrupt them once. Is that how that works?
You could also choose to become a Gemling Legionnaire, enhancing
this is the guy.
by embedding gems directly in your flesh. Integrated Efficiency will give you extra skill slots. Thermatological Infusion gives you extra maximum resistances as you socket more and more support gems. Adaptive Capability allows you to use any color of gem without worrying about attributes, while Crystalline Potential adds extra quality bonuses to every gem socketed into your character.
We still have no idea how quality affects any gem so far.
One thing we haven't talked about yet is how you ascend in the first place. Ascension in Path of Exile 2 requires completion of one of the Great Trials, which you'll find as you progress through the campaign. Each one is associated with one of the major cultures of Rayclast. Located in the Vasteri Plains are the Maraketh, a culture of rich tales and brutal traditions, who must do whatever it takes to survive in the desert. The highest position in Maraketh culture is a Sekima, and it is not a title given freely. All aspirants must complete the Trial of the Sekimas, a grueling gauntlet that will test their strength, will, cunning, and patience.
The traps in this sanctum look very interesting, at least. Probably be annoying, but look interesting.
You are no different.
I'll probably end up doing this trial for every single ascendancy simply because of it. If it almost feels like a proper trial to ascend, and just for my lore playthrough, you know, my first playthrough, I might want to feel that intense trial. Now for when I don't give a fuck, I would probably just end up going ultimatum because, you know, kill monsters, become stronger, equal good gameplay, basically. That's probably what I'll end up opting to later on.
Placed on the relic altar to begin
we'll see.
The trial.
Balbala.
In the Trial of the Sekimas,
interesting.
Each room has its own challenges to overcome. In this room, each rare monster you kill will send its blood to the chalice in the center of the room. Once the chalice is filled, you will be able to proceed. While fighting monsters in the trial, you will need to be very careful. Each hit will not only hurt you, but will damage your honor. The monsters are well telegraphed, so that you can avoid their attacks, but if you run out of honor, you will fail the trial and need to find another coin in order to try again. It is a good idea to make sure that you are well prepared before challenging the Trial of the Sekimas. After each room, you will be rewarded. In this case, you have been given a key that can be used to unlock chests later in the trial. Once you have claimed your reward, you will be shown a map of the rest of the floor and may choose...
Let me try to pay attention to the weapon being used by the witch and if they change it at any point.
Trial.
It's like, look, Right now it's a 1 and a scepter. Does this ever change?
You will need to be very careful. Each hit will not only hurt you, but will damage your honor. The monsters are well telegraphed, so that you can avoid their attacks, but if you run out of honor, you will fail the trial.
No, it doesn't look like it changes, or it could be a case of it changes, but then it's the same weapon, but then different stats that's happening here. I mean, and there's no way we would know, right? But one thing to note is the minions themselves are not being despawned from what I can see.
Will damage your honor. The monsters are well telegraphed, so that you can avoid their attacks, but if you run out of honor, you will fail the trial.
Yeah, they're not. Okay, cool.
Chest and which floor, and may choose how you wish to proceed. Which challenges would you like to face, and which rewards do you want to claim? Some rooms are more dangerous, afflicting you with debuffs that will persist for the entire
Yeah, we still can't come soon enough, I'll be honest. Like even rewatching this, I'm still kind of getting hyped for it.
Monsters and the rest of the trial to have 50% increased life. You will want to take care if you choose such a path. There are many different challenges and rewards as you journey through the trial. Deadly traps, waves of monsters, and strange artifacts will test your honor. As you progress, you'll be able to gain boons from the Jinn, which will help you on your journey. For example, the Sekima's cloak will revive you once if you die, giving you a second shot at a run. One of the rewards you may find is sacred water, an extremely valuable and treasured resource to the Jinn and the Maraketh. Trading it with the Jinn will allow you to receive many benefits. You can recover honor, gain additional boons, or remove afflictions. At the end of the floor, you'll find a
or remove afflictions. These are all boons, but I assume there's going to be a way to use it to
or remove afflictions. At the end of the floor, you'll find a powerful boss which will truly test your limitations. In order to ascend, you will need to defeat him.
Do you still have honor here? I'd assume no, right?
Having defeated the boss, you've earned the right to ascend. But first, the loot. The keys you have found may be used to open the various treasures in the vault at the end of the floor. We only have a single bronze key, so we'll just have to open one of these small chests. If you want to open the better ones, you'll need silver or gold keys. Let's use the Altar of Ascendancy. Your first ascension will allow you to pick your class and grant you 2 points to use in the tree. Now there are more floors and many more rewards that can be found within the Trial of the Sekimas, but we'll save that for the section on the endgame. For now, let's talk about the second Ascendancy trial, the Trial of Chaos. In Path of Exile 2, you can choose whichever trial you like to earn your ascension. Each culture on Rayclast had their own methods to ascend. If the Trial of the Sekimas is not your kind of playstyle, or you're finding it too difficult, you could try another. You can gain all your ascension points from just one, or mix and match them. It's up to you. For early access, we will have 2 trials as options, with a 3rd trial coming later for the full release. While exploring the Vaal jungle, you'll discover the Temple of Chaos. Before the Vaal embraced the science of corruption, their civilization worshipped chaos. This ancient trial was once used by the Vaal to test their high priests. A high priest of the Vaal must show willingness to risk everything to gain power. Entry to the trial requires a token from a strange entity known only as the Trial Master. For those in which he sees potential, he shall inscribe an ultimatum. Many have attempted these trials in search of greatness. Most have perished.
I said this yesterday, and I'll say it again. I really hope there aren't modifiers in Ultimatum like Ruin anymore. But at least for the Ascendancy portions. For the Uber versions and whatnot, you could have Ruin and whatnot, but basically, because honestly, in the current state of Ruin, what that looks like to like 90% of builds is pick one of the other 2 mods, and it's just like, yeah, you know, it just, a mod like that doesn't interest me in making this kind of content harder. Like, I don't know.
You'll be able to defy the odds.
How do I explain my thoughts? I would rather have modifiers that make makes enemies stronger in like I think one of the ones they showed is face damage as extra chaos. That in my opinion is a good mod. I like it. It makes it harder. And if there are like 3 of those similar-esque looking modifiers, then you know you have to pick your poison pretty much. But something like Ruin is just not, it's not only poison you can pick, it's just pick any other poison, basically. Basically, avoid build breaking mods and then go for that. Maybe could be the way to go. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Before you begin each chamber,
we'll see how it ends up in any case.
And a choice. Choose one of 3 tribulations to affect you through the rest of the trial. These modifiers might beef up the monsters, curse the player, or add environmental hazards like turrets or trap runes. In this case, we'll be picking shocking turrets.
Like those 3 mods were okay.
The room,
where it's like there's turrets, there's there's like monsters cannot be slowed or stunned. If your build is reliant on that, you're like, okay, no, maybe not. Or if you're very squishy and you rely on chill, probably you don't want to do this.
Might beef up the monsters.
But like this guy is like, okay, Ring of Chaos appears on the ground, which grow over time. That Nathan wants to reach max area. You see that, you're like, okay, cool. My Chaos Res is kind of shitty. I don't want to do this. Or my Chaos Res is very good. I have like plus 10 max Chaos Res.
In this case, we'll be
I'm chilling. You go for that one, you know.
As you enter the room, the Trial Master will fill it with hazards to test your commitment. In this case, you must destroy all the monsters that fill the room, while dealing with the lightning projectiles from the shocking turrets. After each room,
where is the map?
Take the rewards you have earned so far, or go double or nothing. Increase your rewards, but take on more risk. Each tribulation you add is minor on its own, but they quickly stack on top of each other and can become overwhelming.
How many floors do you have to do for your ascendancy? 10, right?
Each will test your resolve in different ways. This one simply requires you survive for a certain amount of time. Another requires you to escort the stone idol through the level as elevators full of monsters descend to attack you. Should you be able to get through the first 3 chambers, you will face your first boss. The order of the bosses is random, and combined with the tribulations you have selected, the fight will never feel the same. After defeating the boss, you may claim your rewards. Of course, there are the items, but you also gain the right to ascend.
This is after killing all the bosses, so like 9 or 10.
2 more points to add to your ascendancy class. Now, it's possible to go much deeper. There are more bosses, rewards, and risks to take, but we'll talk more about that when we get to endgame. So how about we talk about that now?
This endgame.
So far, we've only been showing you footage from the campaign, but some people would argue that the endgame is where the game truly begins. Something that happens almost every time a new action RPG launches is people saying, there isn't enough endgame content. Well, we want to make sure that in PoE 2, people don't feel that way. And we actually only changed our development priority for this recently. The first 3 acts of PoE 2 already take around 25 hours to complete if you're a new player. This is already a pretty significant campaign. On the other hand, people spend hundreds of hours in endgame each league. We realized that finishing the rest of the campaign for early access was actually a bad idea. Instead of having acts 4 to 6 in early
kudos
access,
to you for realizing this,
on endgame
honestly.
and make that great. For new players, a 25-hour campaign is already a huge game with lots of content. But for existing action RPG players, what you mostly care about is all the in-game challenges to overcome. So several months ago, we switched the entire development team's focus over to making in-game content. At the start of early access, there will be 50 bosses and around 400 monster types. But the great thing is that the rest of the game is like 80% there. We added content to roughly double the size of the game during early access and into release. Now, in order to make the endgame happen at the same character level as what it would be,
isn't it funny that it says follower goal, but then like every single recent follower has just been a bot? Like, why are you also relevant? Like, leave me alone. I don't want you or anything. Please, leave me alone.
We've added a second difficulty level called Cruel, where you repeat the campaign with all the monsters and bosses leveled up. And of course, new rewards.
I mean, I would rather not do Act 1 to 3, Act 1 to 3, but if it's the price I have to pay to deal with to get as much endgame as we're getting, it's a small price to pay. Not to mention, one thing I have like as a kind of, I guess, nitpick as if I do Act 1 to 3 so many times, well, when the full game comes out, I might be averse to doing Act 1 to 3. Act 4 to 5, I'd be more than happy to do it, but like 1 to 3, do I really want to do it? Well, I mean, this is a fine middle ground to deal with.
It's also a lot faster to get through the content the second time as your clear speed increases. That will take you to around level 65, where the endgame begins. Once we add the remaining 3 acts, we'll be removing cruel difficulty, so you'll progress straight from the end of Act 6 to endgame.
What if I just what if my version of cruel is just to send me to the maps at level 45 and see how I do? What if that is my torture? What if that is a torture I find fun in? Can I just skip cruel? Can I just be cruel to myself instead?
He can tell you all about it.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts, Game Director on Path of Exile 2. Well, one thing that Path of Exile is known for is having a lot of distinct endgame content to choose between. Each endgame mechanic needs to have its own progression system, areas, bosses, rewards, and player power that can only be gained from that content. We are going to be adding a lot more over time, but for Path of Exile 2,
I'm assuming Legion is in there on release.
You can progress through.
I'm guessing Legion is in there on release, despite the fact that there is a campaign boss in some zone I don't know about. Either way, Viper Napuwatsi. She's a Viper commander, or she's a Legion commander, right? Rather, and the moment I saw her in the Tokyo Game Show showcase, I assumed there would be Legion, but apparently not. Apparently not.
This is the Atlas, and it serves as the core of the endgame for Path of Exile 2. It's infinite and expands in all directions. Now, we are not going to spoil the plot too much here, but corruption from the beast has blighted the land, and your objective is to help fight it. In the center of the Atlas, you will find the Ziggurat, a temple in which the Vaal research the fundamentals of space and time. Here, we can open portals to nearby locations and begin cleansing corruption and finding resources. In order to power the portal device, we will need waystones. Each waystone has a tier which will determine the level of the monsters that you will face. To go to an area, simply click one that is adjacent to an area that you have already completed. Insert the waystone and click Traverse. Portals will open, allowing you and your party to travel to the area you have selected. All the areas in the endgame feel distinct from the locations in the campaign.
I remember being so focused on like the
monster packs you will face in each map are totally
Liquor Strike,
and the combination of them can lead to some very interesting combat situations.
Oh god, we're still dealing with Devouras?
Totally random.
The Devourer is still here.
And the
Give me a second. Okay, I'm back. What up, Lunar? Welcome, welcome. How you doing?
Combination of them can lead to some very interesting combat situations. There are over 400 monster types in early access, and they have a lot.
I really wonder what this buff is. Buff slash whatever this is. Is it just the location? Does it just say they're like they're going mad or something? Like, what is it? How does it affect the mobs, and how does it affect the way we interact with said mobs? Just stopping by. Well, thank you, appreciate it. I am currently going through the stream, trying to see if there's any information I missed out on the first time around, and trying to see if there's anything I can pick up, basically. I'm making a video for my general opinion, so it's important I make sure I fully understand everything that I said, and also go through the Q&A at some point, so I also understand more along the way of like things I missed, because I know there are some things I missed here and there yesterday during the Q&A because it was so long. So we'll probably have to cover the Q&A some other time, but if I can, because today's a shorter stream, I'm going to try to finish the content reveal, and if I don't, then I might have to complete it some other time as well. And by some other time, it might just be tomorrow. It might just be tomorrow.
A lot of varied and interesting abilities. Depending on which combinations you face, you might find some serious challenges. In order to cleanse the corruption from the area, you will need
Queen
to
of
defeat all the
Serpents.
powerful, rare, and unique enemies in it. Once you have done that, the area will be marked as completed, and you will be able to travel past it to progress deeper into the world. If you die, then the world can no longer be run, and you will have
Why
to
are
find
there so many bots in the freaking PoE category? Get the fuck away! Jesus! So many bots! That has been how many follows today from bots? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7! I haven't been live up to 2 hours. Like, wow. Just, wow. Like, what is it?
another way of the world. If you die, then the map can no longer be run, and you will have to find another way around to get to the areas behind it.
So this is the part of the end game that I think potentially could be problematic, in the sense of, I mean, do I think it's as bad as the way Last Epoch punishes players for dying in their maps? No, because we still have 6 portals to potentially complete the map. However, if for whatever reason you fail all the maps connected to your starting point, what the fuck happens there? Do you just break your endgame for your character? Is there a way to progress even if you don't get rewards for it? I have no idea, and I don't think they don't mention anything about what would happen if you really want to pass a node and you fail it the first time. So maybe there's some workaround. Maybe there's actually something there that would allow us to get through. Because like, if you look at the text here, it does say control middle click to complete. And maybe if you do that, you can still complete the map without getting any loot or whatever. And, you know, still spread or whatever, or still go to the adjacent nodes. But that's unlikely. I don't know. I also think this is just the this part here. Even this part's verification doesn't last linger here long. I think that's just description for the step map.
No longer be run, and you will have to find another way around to get to the areas behind it. There are also all kinds of other random encounters you might run into as you play maps. One such encounter are precursor artifacts. These
shrines are actually kind of cool. They're like settlers of Calgro shrines.
Monsters that feed off the corruption are drawn to their power. If you defeat the monsters and cleanse the artifact, you will get a powerful temporary buff. Some of the buffs make you faster, others rain lightning or fire around you, and some even give you increased experience or help you find better items. You can also find strong boxes. These enigmatic chests guard
Here's something I hope for these strong boxes. I really, really hope they do not take this long to open, because you see what I mean. Like, it takes so freaking long to open, and hopefully there's a way to, if they do, hopefully there's a way to speed it up or skip it entirely, because why? Like, look at this.
Always a trap. Monsters lie in wait to attack you.
You go, you do whatever. This is fine. But from when you click it, it has that. It takes some more time. Smoke seeps out. Then monsters start coming. That is at least like 5 to 5 seconds of you just standing around waiting for shit to happen. So hopefully we can skip that.
You'll discover monsters frozen in essences.
Meanwhile, essences are a league mechanic I was really hoping would have its own skill tree. Like, I get it, they want it to be random, but like essences really, like, I don't know. Essences are a league mechanic in PoE 1 that I just like doing here and there. Like, every so often, just like, okay, I'll just do essences. I just want to do it, you know. But having them only be random, and it also depends, I guess, on how often this random chance is. But if it's not often enough, then it's just going to feel like whatever. Like, it's just going to feel, a bit, I guess, iffy. It's going to feel a bit iffy, I think, because like I'm like of the opinion I would want to keep farming essences for profit at some point, or I would want to encounter enough essences, because, you know, there's a wide variety of them. I'd want to encounter enough essences to where I can realistically farm gear, or, you know, target farm gear, crafting the crafts that I want. Now, granted, with my initial reaction with, give me a second. Okay, as I was saying, essence wise, I would want to have enough essences, or enough essences incoming to where I would be crafting often. But depending on how the base chance to spawn essences, and if there's any way to alter it, because it's also possible, because they didn't say that it's not possible. But it's also possible the base Atlas tree might have maybe increased chance for specific random encounters like essences. You know, kind of like how there's the attributes highway where you pick the attributes you want. Maybe there's something like that where you choose, okay, chance for this mechanic, and then you can, of course, respect that and switch to something else, or who knows. But ideally, I want ways to be able to run into more essences if possible, even if it's not guaranteed.
Broken free. If you defeat them, the essence they drop can be used to upgrade normal items to magic items with a guaranteed mod from a category. For example, we could use this one on some boots to ensure a movement speed mod. Rarely, essences will also drop that allow you to upgrade magics to rares, adding the guaranteed mod. This is incredibly powerful, since it allows you to get a second deterministic mod in your crafting projects. Combining these with the currencies that are commonly found in Rayclast for modifying items, and we can get a very nice pair of boots indeed. Waystones, like all pair of boots indeed.
Yeah, that's...
Waystones, like all items, can also be crafted using your currency items. Adding prefix mods will improve the rewards, while suffix mods increase danger. The more dangerous a map is, the more waystones will drop. Adding mods to your waystones is key to progressing to higher tiers and sustaining them, but it will require you to take on larger challenges. There are a variety of factors you'll have to consider when crafting your waystones. Some maps will have higher density, some lower, some have more magic and rare chests, or monsters, some are more linear, and others more open. Make sure you explore and think about what makes certain maps good if you want to maximize your returns. As you cleanse corruption from higher and higher if you want to maximize your return.
Isn't this that ability where you cast a fire orb in one spot and then it charges and does an explosion? It looks like here it's centered around her. And I don't see any fire orb animation. So I have no idea what altered this skill in any way. But that's interesting. Because it moved with her as well.
As you cleanse corruption from higher.
Oh look, Doriani. We meet Doriani.
Points that you can spend in the Atlas tree.
Okay.
This tree allows you to juice the danger and rewards of all areas in the endgame.
There it is. So yeah. Okay. Now we're talking. So it looks like let's pull up PoE planner. It looks like I said, there are ways on the base Atlas tree to get specific content. Now this would be ambush, and this is incursion.
Hello there.
Hello there, Luna. That is incursion. Let me see. That exact symbol is here. Is it incursion? No. Rogue exiles, maybe. No. Bestiary? No, it's you. It's Kyrak. So Kyrak is here. This is Kyrak. Why are there so many Kyrak nodes? Kyrak. But then this is... honestly, it looks like Harbingers. Not. It's maps. So this is more maps.
You could increase the number.
Please move the tree a little bit. Just a little bit. Just move it a bit.
You to juice the danger
and then this one is, I think, strong boxes.
And rewards of all areas in the endgame.
Yeah, strong boxes. Kind of looks different, but also kind of similar. What could this area be if this is maps and this is Kyrak? I'm hoping essences are somewhere on here. Somewhere.
You could increase the number of monsters, the number of rares, the number of precursor artifacts,
shrines as well,
even the quantity of item drops. As you explore the...
It doesn't sound like it just sounds like that top left would probably be shrines. That's what it sounds like, because they didn't even make a slight mention of like essences or anything. So
in-game world map,
although that is the case.
Different biomes, from snow-capped mountains to dense jungle valleys. Most maps are restricted to certain biomes. As you continue to explore deeper into the Atlas, there are all sorts of things to discover. These cities are constructed by different peoples of Rayclast and have specific items that can be found there. These strange structures marked on the map don't appear to do anything for now. Perhaps you'll work out how to use them later. You might find unique maps like Untainted Paradise, an undisturbed island full of beasts that give an extreme amount of experience. You may even find a lonely man just enjoying his retirement who will give you a unique item for free. In addition, you can find special areas that would make a good spot to set up camp. Clear these areas of their hostile inhabitants, and you'll be able to claim them as your own hideout.
I kind of like the idea of having hideouts from anywhere.
And invite various NPCs to join you there to create your own personal base of operations.
But I guess that means when you start PoE2, you don't actually have a hideout until you find one. Or maybe they'll put there's always one close to your spawn.
Towers. These mysterious precursor constructs are dotted around the Atlas. Completing the tower will reveal a large area around it, allowing you to scout out your next challenge. There are lots of things. Oh, but
one thing to note, this AoE for its effect is quite wide. So the fact that this one tower would affect all these maps, like from here all the way to like here, and then this one would also probably intersect here. So like here is probably fair game for it. So you can have both of them here, and then this guy is also here, so you can have 3 in this cluster. the tower system has potential to be very fun, but also has potential to have like a very, very droughty feeling when you don't have many around you. So we'll have to see how it goes.
So keep looking. Some sections of your atlas are influenced by corruption.
Like here, it doesn't look like there's anything.
To the maps in the region, increasing difficulty and reward.
Wait, what?
This adds looking. Some sections of your atlas are influenced by corruption. This adds extra modifiers to the maps in the region.
Isn't that just everywhere?
Increasing difficulty and rewards. Here, slaying monsters in close proximity to each other will cause the vestiges of corruption within them to merge together, forming powerful and grotesque.
Oh, so that's how you get beyond
you may have noticed
places like this.
The atlas that some of the areas have these icons above them. The icon indicates that the area contains some kind of special encounter. This icon indicates that the area has a powerful boss. Because only 1 in 4 maps contain a map boss, we are able to make them very powerful and very rewarding. These bosses come from the campaign, but have had their difficulty increased with changes to AI and some of their abilities. It's worth noting that because you can see where the bosses are, you can choose to take them on or avoid them. If you do choose to hunt bosses though, then you will be rewarded with special points for the boss hunting section of the Atlas skill tree. The points here will allow you to specialize in boss killing, giving you much greater rewards for defeating them. For each different type of
was that big damage?
Rewards for defeating them.
That was big damage, right? Because he exploded this thing.
For each different type of
big damage. Let me see the DPS. Went right up to 200k.
Content in the end game,
nice.
We're adding specialized trees in order to make it so you don't.
Oh, there. Oh, so it's map. Strong box. Karak. No essences, as expected. You disappoint me. We'll see. I mean, we'll see. We also need to figure out what these keystones do. Very possible that they're actually impactful, and we just don't know, right?
Don't feel the need to respec your points when you change between different types of content. We will be showing you 7 of these by the end of this presentation, so there is still a lot more to come.
The 7 being Breach, Delirium, Expedition. I think it's Expedition. One of them is Expedition, one of them is Delirium. Ritual, that's 4. And then 2 of the trials, that's 6. What is the 7th one? I keep forgetting. What is the 7? Pinnacle bosses? I guess.
Bosses are not the only icon you will see on the Atlas. Let's take a look at one of the in-game systems, Breach. If you played PoE 1, you might be familiar with Breach. For PoE 2, we have created sequels to several PoE 1 leagues. While the mechanic is familiar, the monsters, bosses, rewards, and progression are all new.
Why do they look like abyssal demons in RuneScape?
Demons and otherworldly monstrosities that lie in wait on this other plane of existence.
Like, look at this.
All new.
These guys right here, they kind of look like abyssal demons in RuneScape. And I'll show you what I mean. These are abyssal demons. They're purplish. They have tentacles for heads, but then they kind of look very similar in that regard. Maybe there was some inspiration taken there. Who knows?
Mechanic is familiar. The monsters, bosses, rewards, and progression are all new. A breach is a tear in the fabric of reality. Opening it will allow you to see the demons and otherworldly monstrosities that lie in wait on this other plane of existence. By engaging with a breach, you'll create a bridge between their world and Rayclast. In order to keep the breach open, you will need to kill the demons that pour forth. The faster you can kill the monsters, the more monsters you will fight, and the more loot you will find.
Oh look, Radiant Spirits.
You can also find clasped hands that will open and drop more items if you run over them. These can be a good boost to the rewards of the breach, so keep an eye out. One of the rewards that you may find while fighting monsters from Breach are tablets. Tablets are special items that can be used with precursor towers to add more encounters to the Atlas. Breaches will drop Breach tablets. Clicking on a completed tower will allow you to...
Yeah, look at how wide the AoE is.
To add
so here, so this area would have this guy, which would also be like a bit further left, but ends maybe here. This guy would maybe end here. This one will maybe end here. This one will maybe end here. And then you just imagine how juicy this map would be being affected by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 towers. Jesus, they can actually, the clusters can actually be very, very dense. Which means in PoE 1 lingo, we could add like seven scarabs to this one map over here. Maybe 2, 3, 4, maybe this area, because like this should easily be within the range of here, but maybe not this one. Maybe this one would be within the range of this guy. But like other than this one, all the others have this in their range. Maybe this one will struggle with this guy, but like you get the gist of it. They would all be within the range of this 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And all of them adding different modifiers. You can actually use these towers to add like 7 different mechanics if you wanted to. But of course, you're not 7 different mechanics, like 4 different mechanics or something. However many you want to with it, and that you have tablets for.
This makes all the content in the Atlas self-sustaining. Want to do more breaches? Find the tablets, add them to your towers, get more breaches, getting more tablets. Soon your Atlas will be covered in otherworldly domains. In addition, like all items in PoE, you can craft them. Use your currency to add mods to your tablet.
Oh, there's a limit. It just says 6 maps in range contain breaches,
allowing you to upgrade all the breaches in range. Tablets can have
7 maps in range. So it's not all the maps in range that would be affected. Actually, no, all the maps would be affected by this, but only 7 of them would contain the league mechanic, I guess. I hope there's a way to know.
Mods. These mods do things like adding extra rare monsters, extra clasped hands, or even mods to density of breaches, allowing you to keep them open longer. Often, you will find multiple towers near to each other with overlapping areas of effect. This can allow you to really juice the mechanic by stacking the mods from multiple tablets. In your fight to hold the breach demons at bay, you may want to use the powers of their world against them. Each in-game mechanic always has player power that can only be gained from that mechanic, and breach is no.
On the bright side, breach rings are now
Breach, you will
craftable,
find
so
catalysts, items that can increase the quality of rings and amulets by improving specific mods. You can also find breach rings.
Catalysts are not coming from
Can
breach
have its quality improved by catalysts
instead
up
of
to
ultimatum.
50%. In this case, you could create a ring with around 170 life. Breach rings can become some of the strongest rings in the game, giving you some good motivation to face the demon hordes. In addition, each endgame mechanic needs to have a pinnacle endgame encounter. While killing breach monsters, you may find breach splinters. Collect enough of these and you'll be able to create a breach stone. Using a Vaal technology called the Realm Gate, you can use your breachstone to access their domain and bring the fight to them. In this twisted domain, you will find nothing but a single massive breach. Triggering it will reveal hordes of breach inhabitants. And should you be fast enough, you will be able to fight their leader, Zesht. We that are one.
We that dreamed. We in nightmare. We that are one. Fate.
He's like the only breach entity that I have seen that uses we instead of it's. Because like most of the popular ones that actually are sent in enough to talk just say it's. Like most notable is obviously it that fled because I play a lot of betrayal. My guy's just flicking. One thing I hope is this hand ability doesn't have some weird hit area where like if you're in between the fingers it wouldn't hit or something like that. So just so the hitboxes are very defined and we know exactly where you would get hit, you know.
This is just one of the pinnacle encounters of PoE 2. We won't be showing the rest of them, so you will have to discover them for yourself. But rest assured, this is some of the hardest content we have ever made. All of these encounters have specific uniques that can only be found from them, but that's not all. We still have the progression system. Defeating Zesht will give you points to allocate into the breach section of the Atlas tree. Allocating these points will make breaches and the breach domain even harder, but will give you more rewards. The small nodes will increase the difficulty of the twisted domain, while the large nodes have more specific bonuses. For example, this node adds more clasped hands to your breaches, and adds a pack of magic monsters that can guard them. Get some more points and you can allocate Waking Nightmare, which will double the number of splinters you get from clasped hands, and inflict you with a mysterious debuff. In order to earn...
What's the name of the debuff? Waking... Oh. It doesn't tell us what it does, eh?
From clasped hands, and inflict you with a mysterious debuff. In order to earn more points, you will need to defeat Zesht at a higher difficulty, and some rewards from Zesht can only be found by increasing the difficulty of the Twisted Domain above certain thresholds. Defeating Zesht at...
I think it's kind of interesting they used the follower of... What is that? Chayula as the ascendancy for this scene, even though it's shit for it.
But there are many more threats in Rayclast. Ritual altars are sacrificial sites built by the mysterious King in the Mists. If you encounter this symbol on the Atlas, then you know that the area contains ritual altars. Ritual altars demand tribute. Every monster you slaughter in the circle will feed the altar. After the sacrifice, touch it to begin the ritual. The monsters you just killed will be resurrected by the King of the Mist's dark magic, and you must fight to survive. The tribute you have offered to the altar can be spent to buy powerful items, but they can be expensive. To gain more tribute, you will want to find more altars.
What is this? What is that? Ogum, Vastiri, Agorat, Namakanui. Are those the bosses? Oh, those are the areas. Okay, okay. I'm not interested in finding out more about it or, you know, whatever. What I came here for is currency. A lot of these don't have icons. Chaos orbs do. Divine orbs look so sad. Maybe these are regal orbs. Exalted orbs. Orbs of annulments. Giant hole in your head. Augmented magic item with a new modifier. So this is what I'm looking at. So those are orbs of augmentation, it looks like, and these are transmutes. Okay, okay. So these are just augs. One aug, one transmute. Okay.
Each
Good to know.
successive ritual you do within an area will spawn the monsters revived by the
Orb of Chance looks interesting. And then Val. Val looks angry.
previous ones, in addition to the ones you sacrifice next to it. By the end of an area, you'll be fighting a truly imposing number of foes, but will have a significant amount of tribute to spend. One of the rewards you can buy with tribute are omens. These are...
One thing to note about this omen, my first impression of this was that you would use this for, like, let's say essence crafting, to where if you got like a life essence, you would use that and put it on prefix and that would guarantee a life and yada yada. But on a closer looking, you would notice that this item specifies exalted orb. And I'm assuming there would have to be some for like annuls or you know, whatever else. But I hope this does not mean that the amount of omens there are just makes just adds a whole lot of bloat. Like I don't want there to be like only 2 omens as an example, right? But I don't want there to be 100 different omens as another example. So hopefully they're able to find a good middle ground where there aren't too many, but the ones that are there are able to be used in many different ways that across different currencies, to where crafting feels intuitive and you don't need a diploma to craft, you know, an endgame chess piece.
These are special items that allow
A diploma or just insane luck, I should say. I mean, or insane luck.
for metacrafting. Crafting items that affect other crafting items. Have an item with good prefixes but bad suffixes? This omen will help you.
Yeah, like that one specifies orb of annulment.
Other crafting items. Have an item with good prefixes but bad suffixes?
Your next orb of annulment will remove only suffixes.
This omen will help you to remove the mods you don't want while keeping the ones you do. There are a bunch more of these with different effects, but we will leave you don't want while keeping the ones you do. There are a bunch more.
Can I find out? Surely I find it. Well, this active is activating your next exalted will add 2 random modifiers. Greater exaltation or something. More meta than I expected it to be.
Different effects, but we will leave them for you to discover.
So yeah, this
the ones you do. There are a bunch more of these with
it
different
added
effects,
2 mods.
but we will leave them for you to discover. Now, don't forget that Ritual will also drop tablets, which can be used to specialize into getting more rituals. If you want to get to the pinnacle boss of Ritual, then you will probably want to use them. They can also be crafted to grant mods, making your rituals more rewarding. The pinnacle encounter of Ritual is the King in the Mists. Feared by the Asmeri people, he is said to have brought eternal darkness to the Wildwood. We won't show the encounter, but just like Breach, there are a range of unique items you can get for defeating him, and you will gain points in the ritual section of the Atlas tree. Some maps have been touched by insanity. A mysterious entity has taken a special interest in you. Step through the looking glass.
Expedition is for the most part exactly the same. Same with
when
Delirium.
You touch a mirror, the mists of Delirium will spread
Well, not
out
Delirium, because
across the area
Delirium actually has some different
to your
things.
mind. You must stay within the mist to maintain the nightmare, which is as profitable as it is terrifying. Everything you kill will increase the rewards that drop. However, the deeper into the mist you travel, the stronger the monsters are. Be careful not to overstay your welcome.
What is this circle?
As it is terrifying. Everything you kill will increase the rewards that drop. However, the deeper into the mist
Oh, why do they kind of look like expedition mobs?
travel, the stronger the monsters are. Be careful not to overstay your welcome. Rare and unique enemies will become vessels for terrifying demons, who will manifest out of them to unleash powerful attacks on you. The mist also offers a strange crafting material, distilled emotions. By combining these emotions, you are able to instill your amulet with a notable from the passive skill tree. This is like gaining an extra passive point for free, attached to your gear. They are also particularly great because you don't have to traverse the tree to get them, allowing you to get off-class bonuses that would normally be much harder to get. Distilled emotions can also be used to instill your endgame maps, applying Delirious to them and adding additional difficulty and rewards, allowing you to further juice your endgame maps. The tablets you can find from Delirium can be used to further improve it, increase pack size, make the fog dissipate slower, or improve your progress towards the pinnacle encounter of Delirium. Speaking of which, every now and then you will find simulacrum splinters. The mysterious entity will create strange encounters based on warped versions of your
Strangely
own
familiar entity. Is that what is that really his name?
that get progressively more difficult. You will receive loot at the end of each wave, and you will have to make the decision to leave now or continue on, facing up against even tougher foes from the mist. The bosses you will face as you get deeper into a simulacrum are truly terrifying.
Omni.
If you can complete a simulacrum, you will gain points for the Delirium section of the Atlas skill tree. Next
And then
up,
expedition is just exactly the same as it is
occasionally
in PoE
while
1.
clearing corruption, you will encounter these Kalguran settlers. The Kalgurans have discovered ancient burial sites with lost Verisium artifacts, and they want you to help dig them up with explosives. The Kalgurans have marked the locations where the relics can be found. Place explosives as best you can to dig up as many as possible. There is just one problem. Corruption has brought the corpses of their ancestors to life, so you might have to do a little cleanup before you can reclaim the artifacts.
Oh, is that all? So is that
You can
so?
also
Wait,
find
corruption is the reason why we
The
have to fight
destruction of
things on
which
this.
will further anger
on-
the restless dead. Each one you blow up will make the subsequent monsters more powerful, but also more rewarding. Danig, Rog, Tujin, and Gwenin will exchange the artifacts for useful items and runic magic. You can also find tablets to increase the number of expeditions and the rewards. This one increases the radius.
All I'm gonna say is I didn't play Expedition in PoE 1 just to come and play it in PoE 2 in the exact same form. So odds are, if I had to pick a league mechanic that I would main, honestly, I'm not a big fan of Ritual or Exped. Well, I'm fine with Expedition, I should say. But I'm not a big fan of Ritual. Breach is whatever. But if the Breach drops are a lot more manageable, I might actually main Breach. But I think a lot of the player base would also do the same thing. So maybe Ritual would end up being where I spend the most time. Delirium is like, you know, whatever.
Eventually, you might discover a logbook. These are special maps full of buried treasure and relics. Essentially, one giant dig site. Here,
oh look, the MTX from this last league.
Of explosives and go through a very high number of remnants. But be careful, many remnants have mods that can really brick your build, so you will probably want to avoid these ones. If you add too many remnants, you could easily make the encounter harder than you can handle. There are all sorts of interesting things buried under the ground in logbooks. You might find dripping caves.
Yeah, this is the area. I'll keep a note for myself. Just a quick note. One 0405. Because these are all mages, right?
You might find,
and these are an inferno list.
Caves and hidden pirate caches, but
you have 15 mages here. These are the frost mages as well. In case you want to see what the gem looks like, if I remember correctly, it is Yelly Frost Mage, this one. Minions have, oh, is this the quality? But yeah, this is the skill where they have certain skill sets. They're using GMP, looks like. Oh, no, LMP, just more projectiles. Okay.
But the most powerful encounter is Olroth, the ancient undead commander of the Knights of the Sun. Defeating him will grant you unique rewards, as well as points to spend in the expedition section of the Atlas tree. So those are the in-game systems on the Atlas, but we are not done yet. The trials we talked about earlier have much more content when you get to endgame too. Just like the other endgame systems, they also have progression mechanics, unique rewards, and player power that can only be gained from them. As you get higher level coins for the Trial of the Sycamores, you will unlock more floors to explore. Each floor has its own challenging rooms and a floor boss that you will need to kill.
Oh look, this is the same character that has the 15 minions.
Rooms and a floor boss that you will need to kill.
They are doing damage though.
There are 4 floors in total, leading to another pinnacle boss at the end of the last floor, which can... There are 4 floors in total, leading to another pinnacle boss at the end of the last floor, which can only be accessed at endgame. The Trial of the pinnacle boss at the end of the last floor, which can only be accessed at endgame. The Trial of the Sycamores is where you'll find jewels, which you can socket into your tree. These are like passives that you can craft with your currency items. They can be really powerful as they allow you to stack modifiers that may not be easily accessible on the tree normally. This jewel gives
Spirit Reservation
and shock chance, for example.
Spirit Reservation, I already see being one of them.
So it's possible to gain a lot of power here. There are also other types of jewels that don't provide any bonuses themselves, but affect other passives surrounding them. This jewel increases the effect of small nodes and radius by 25%. With careful placement in the tree, you could get a significant amount of power from it. There are also unique jewels available with very interesting effects, but you will have to find those for yourself. In order to push further into the trial and uncover the secrets of the Maraketh, you will want to take advantage of its progression system, relics. Relics are items that can be placed in the relic altar as you start the trial. They give special bonuses that affect the trial, making it easier and increasing its rewards. Of course, you can craft these with your currency items, making them even stronger. If you can complete the entire trial overcoming all 4 floors, the final boss will reward you with one of many unique relics. These relics will be consumed when used.
Oh lol, this is the
overcoming all 4 floors. The final boss
the
will reward you
Frost
with one
Mage
of many
character.
unique relics. These relics will be consumed when used on your next run. One of many unique
Even the Hellhound was dead.
These relics will be consumed when used on your next run, but can reward you with unique and powerful items. For example, this is the Last Flame. If you use it, you will have only 1 honor for the.
It looks like the chase item from this OG Sin run is Temporalis instead of OG Sin. It makes me think it's gonna be a time-based item. I have no idea what on earth it could do to make it worthy of a no-hit run, but this would be a spicy item to have.
This is the Last Flame. If you use it, you will have only 1 honor for the entire trial, so you will need to do a completely hitless run. The Trial of Chaos also extends into the endgame. As you gain inscribed ultimatums of higher and higher levels, the number of chambers that you can go through increases. In true Vaal style, this allows you to take even more risks for even more rewards. At endgame, you can progress through up to 10 chambers with 3 bosses on a single run. Stacking 10 tribulations on top of each other will make this a significant challenge, but it's worth it. The Trial Master will tempt you with
so it's 10 rounds for this Uber version, but that doesn't mean the one we are doing for the every Ascendance is 10. Gotcha.
The Vaal Empire, such as Vaal Orbs.
Odds are it's going to be 1 boss and then +1 for every extra Ascendance. Like the first one will be 1 boss, second one will be 2 bosses, third one will be 3 bosses, and third boss will after like the 9th wave. And then, of course, the 4th one is the Uber one, so that's this one with 10.
Vaal Orbs are powerful crafting items that corrupt your gear with random, mysterious
As I assume.
Corruption prevents an item from being modified further, so it has to be the last step of your craft. But it's also the most impactful one. For example, if you use one on your body armor, it might add a new powerful enchantment, or it might re-roll up to half of its modifiers. Vaal Orbs also have the ability to add a socket, allowing you to bypass the normal restriction of how many sockets an item can have. A body armor could get up to 3 sockets this way, allowing for a significant number of mods. Vaal Orbs can even...
What is this chamber he is in?
Normal restriction of how many sockets an item can have. A body armor could get up to 3 sockets.
What the fuck?
Allowing for a significant number
Is that a
of mods.
miner? Who the fuck is that?
The normal restriction of how many sockets
Oh, what the fuck is that?
A body armor could get up to
3 Is this a hideout?
Way, allowing
Maybe.
for a significant number of mods.
The entire screen is shaking when he slaps though.
Adding enchantments or sockets to uniques can make them incredibly powerful, but there is a good chance that you will break them as well. The Trial Master will also occasionally offer you soul cores. Originally formed by Chaos, the Vaal sought to replicate soul cores through human sacrifice rituals and blood magic to power their civilization. Soul cores are powerful socketable items, with mods that cannot be obtained from regular runes.
Martial weapon. I think a scepter is a martial weapon. Because if I remember correctly, a martial weapon is just a weapon that... A weapon that attacks? It's a weapon you use for attack, something like that, like a quarterstaff, I guess, is a martial weapon. You know, it's this guy.
Like all endgame content, there is of course a pinnacle boss. The final chamber will drop keys to this mysterious door. Some say this is where the Trial Master himself resides. Perhaps you are willing to take the risk to find out. Had enough yet? Because there...
But it does say to the Trial Master. Insert 3 fates to unlock the door to the Trial Master. So it is the Trial Master's tower.
Take the risk to find out.
Like it does say it there.
Because there is still just one more thing. the most difficult content in Path of Exile 2. While mapping, you might come across this fortress that has emerged from underground, surrounded
So
by
this
an
is different
enormous
from the
maze
towers.
riddled with danger. Is the maze
Okay, good to
preventing
know.
something from getting in, or something getting out? This fortress is of ancient origin, and its construction has similarities to the towers and tablets that you have been using on your journey through the endgame. It is clear from the entrance that there are 3 keys required to enter. Local factions are vying for access to the fortress in order to seize the power they believe will be inside. Each of the faction's leaders have managed to get their hands on one of the keys.
I wonder if these faction leaders are in different zones or in the
So
same
you will
zone.
need to defeat them. Each faction is led by an Uber Act boss.
So it's in a different zone.
You can see one of them inhabiting this
Borno still.
city, but in order to fight him,
How
is
can
led
you
by an
tell?
Uber Act boss.
Just because
You can
he
see one of
requires
them
this?
inhabiting the city, but in order to fight him, you will first need to defeat their 2 lieutenants in the adjacent zones. Be careful. If you fail against either of the lieutenants, or to kill the leader, they will move on, and you will need to find them again. Kill all the Uber bosses and you will gain access to the fortress. We aren't going to spoil it, as we can't wait to see you guys attempt it for the first time. But is there a tree you get points in after killing it? Of course there is.
This is a new person. What is that face? I don't think this is a character we know in PoE 1 at least.
This is Path of Exile. There is always another tree.
So these are your challenges for PoE 2. As you can see, this project is crazy huge. Way bigger than even we expected when we started out. How do you gain access? Well, during early access, you'll need a key to get
Another
in.
bot.
To thank our existing PoE supporters who have spent more than $480, we'll be giving you guys a key for the PC version for free. Anyone else who wants one can get one by purchasing one of the new early access supporter packs that have just been released to the store. If you just want early access to PoE 2, then you can get a key in the $30 early access pack. The pack also comes with $30 of points to spend in the MTX store.
I need this
We also have
guy.
a variety of other supporter packs filled with
I think that's
exclusive
my favorite
microtransactions,
pet in
points to
everything.
spend in the store, and even physical items. The cosmetics can be used right now in PoE 1 and in Path of Exile 2 when early access starts. Most of this footage has been recorded in Path of Exile 1, since that's where you can use them immediately. The Lord of Ogham supporter pack contains a cosmetic armor set befitting of the Count of Ogham himself.
You know, I didn't hear that
There is also a
recorded in PoE 1 parts the first time I watched this. I knew it was PoE 1.
matching back attachment,
I
which
was
has
like,
an
huh,
alternate variant
wonder why they're showing in
depicting the
PoE 1.
influence of corruption.
I mean, makes sense.
Also in this pack, you can find
I figured it was
portal
a
formed
reason
of the
similar.
rusted armor of the fallen soldiers in the Red Veil of Ogham, and the offspring of a vicious crowbell boss found in the hunting grounds. This one doesn't look so vicious though.
I need this guy. He's so adorable.
On top of that, you'll receive the Iron Count's Y-hander to apply to your one-handed or two-handed swords. For those who are wanting to decorate your hideouts with fond memories and tales of Path of Exile's history, you will also get a series of hideout statues. This pack contains the statue of Hillock. For Path of Exile 1's closed beta, each pack contained a true New Zealand icon, the Kiwi. Following this tradition, all packs in this series will also contain a new themed Kiwi pet. The pet will loyally follow you into battle, but run away at the first sign of trouble.
It just says
Become the ruler of
deuces.
the desert with the king of the
You're on your
Pharaohs
own, bro.
support pack. Show your mastery of traversing the sands of the Vasteri Plains. The body armor will allow you to glide along the ground with ancient sand magic. Now each armor set comes with body armor, boots, gloves, and helmet, but the boots are covered in sand. If you'd prefer to show them off, you can turn the gliding off if you want.
Ooh, imagine walking in
Two
PoE
powerful
1 like a
pillars that
peasant.
control and manipulate lightning. They will periodically release their energy in a powerful blast while in town, and hover in a circle around you, arcing lightning between them, forming a barrier of energy. Replace the appearance of any bow with the Faradin's Glory skin. Or replace the appearance of a spear with the Tyranny's End spear skin. This spear skin can be applied to staves and war staves in Path of Exile 1. If you want to truly show your worth as a king of the Faradin, then you definitely need your trusty, moving, entire city fortress known as the Dreadnought to travel across the Vasteri Plains. In Path of Exile, you can decorate your hideout however you like, and it's no exception here.
The fact
It
that
comes with a variety of
PoE
thematic
1
elements to
has
use,
this
or use decorations from elsewhere in the game.
as one of the, because I assume this is one of the lower supporter packs as well. And it comes with that hideout. Is kind of really cool.
We'll get the Deshret's Blessing level up effect. The King of the Faradin Kiwi pet. And last but not least,
look at that face. Look at this face right here.
King of the Faradin
I don't know why fight is funny.
And last but not least, a statue depicting the Vaal Oversoul from Path of Exile 1. For those who don't know how supporter packs work, each pack comes with all of the cosmetics from the previous tier, so you'll get all the items from the Lord of Ogham supporter pack as well. The Thaumaturge of the Vaal supporter pack features an armor set and back attachment themed around the Vaal and their pursuit.
This is so cool for a shadow, most likely.
You can find the
like if there's any shadow builds that went double daggers.
Thaumaturgic energy harnessed from sacrifice to spill from your weapon. This pack also contains Doryani's Idol. It replaces the default appearance of any foci to an ancient relic once used by Doryani, and this can be applied to shields in Path of Exile 1. That's not the only Vaal weapon.
But yeah, they have foci in PoE 2.
Wand of the Thaumaturge skin.
So like there aren't anything like that in PoE 1, huh? I don't think so. The shields.
You wouldn't think to put sacrificial gems on a Kiwi, but the Vaal did. Thaumaturge of the Vaal supporters will receive the Thaumaturge of the Vaal Kiwi pet. And the Statue of Dominus. This is also the first pack in the series with a physical item. When purchasing this pack, you'll receive a Path of Exile 2 logo t-shirt. But if you don't want one, you can opt out and return for additional points to spend in the store.
Now I'm gonna get my shirt. I'm 100% get my shirt eventually.
Grant you an armor set and back attachment adorned in jade carvings and iridescent feathers resembling power. Enough to even impress the ancestral gods, specifically Tukohama, the Karui god of war.
I feel like this finish. I feel like this finisher is kind of.
To crush them to a pulp. Replace your crafting
it's kind of interesting.
Ancestral canoe crafting bench, where Ancestral Chief Mata will summon a giant canoe manned by Karui warriors to aid in your crafting desires.
We must all start somewhere.
You'll also get a pair of weapon skins. Equip Akoya's Felling Axe skin to your one-hand or two-handed axes.
I mean, I don't use axes, so it doesn't bother me much. Like I don't care about it.
A true Karui warlord is always accompanied by their trusty Kiwi, equipped with armor and harnessing ancestral magic.
Did he just roll?
Perfect sidekick.
Nah, did he just roll?
Ancestral magic.
No.
Perfect sidekick. Once one of the most feared beings in Rayclast, Malachi was slain by a powerful exile. May the statue commemorate the virtue of exiles past, present, and of the future. Of course, it's not all about dressing up in game. You'll want to look good in real life too. By becoming a Warlord of the Karui supporter, you'll also get a Path of Exile 2 hoodie. Our final tier of supporter pack in this series is the Liberator of Rayclast supporter pack.
And this one is just beautiful. Like this supporter pack and the hideout that it comes with. Ooh.
And Shattered Glass Mosaics suspended in Divine Power. Set up your base of operations in the Beacon of
Salvation. Like I love the idea of the boat races and have the different hideouts or more islands or whatever.
Comes equipped with your own collection of small islands and personal operators of boats that you can use to row between them. Just walk to the piers, click a boat to enter, and navigate as you choose. Decorate each island as you see fit to best represent.
So you don't control in it.
Everyone in your hideout can use their own boat. Why not have some races? You can also get the Window to Twilight portal effect. A beautiful mosaic piece.
I thought it was automatic, but apparently you can control it.
Your desired destination as you approach it. As you walk away, the glass magically reforms back to its original form. Rule in style with the Throne of the Ruler map device. Sure, this map device can create portals to in-game maps, but it also comes with a throne you can sit on to oversee your growing kingdom. Look down on the plebeians running your maps. Being the Liberator, though, is not just about sitting on your throne all day. If you do decide to join the fight yourself, you can leave a High Priest in charge as your second in command. Liberator of Rayclast supporters will also get a set of varied weapon skins. The Light of Divinity Scepter skin, the Deliverance Crossbow skin, the Justice Flail skin, and the Redemption Shield skin.
Oh, I see why they didn't put the flail, because that's a PoE 2 exclusive, because flails aren't here.
Of course, a statue depicting one of the most iconic events in Rayclast's history. The battle between a powerful exile and Kitava, the Insatiable. With the help of two deities, Sin and Innocence, the exile was able to defeat him once and for all. This supporter pack also contains the Path of Exile 2 art book. This 215-page full-color art book includes a huge amount of amazing concept art and lore produced during the long and exciting journey of Path of Exile 2's development. And finally, Path of Exile has a tradition of letting the community participate in designing game features. For Path of Exile 2 will be
there was so much to unpack here.
Reliquary. By becoming a Liberator of Ray class supporter, once
because like we've been on this 1 hour video for how long have we been live? 2 hours?
Path of Exile 2 is
240?
released, you'll be able to select any unique item you have found and be able to drop it from the reliquary. Once players have submitted their items, keys to the reliquary will start dropping, and other players will be able to find foil versions of uniques that you have submitted along with a message for the lucky player. The more players submit the same unique, the more chances there will be for the reliquary to drop them, so choose wisely. Now, almost all of these items are available to use in PoE 1 right now. There are a few exceptions where the item class clearly doesn't exist, such as crossbows or flails. And there are also a few microtransactions on weapon types that are unavailable in PoE 2 at the start of early access. Once classes that use those weapon types are added, those microtransactions will be available to use. If you can't decide which supporter pack to choose yet, you can always start with the early access supporter pack that just includes a key and some points to spend in the store. Then you can upgrade to any of the following tiers at a later date. These supporter packs will be available for purchase throughout early access.
Okay.
I'd really like to thank you for your ongoing support. Without you guys, Path of Exile 2 could not have happened. Now, I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions. Stick around, because coming up next...
And we're done. There is so much, so much in that game. Or in the PoE 2 stream. It is just wild. In the video I plan to make, I think it's tomorrow if I have the time. Honestly, ended up busier than I would have liked to, but I probably still try to record when I can. Anyways, in that one, I'm going to have to cut out so much. Like I've already scripted most of it, I think, but there are a few things I want to add. So, anyways, thank you for stopping by. Appreciate y'all. I'm gonna be back tomorrow afternoon, much earlier than I streamed on weekdays. So what are we going to be doing tomorrow? I don't fully know yet. We either go through some of the Q&A and then break it up with potentially Torchlight. I don't know. I haven't made up my mind yet, or if we just stream Torchlight all through. But it's going to be it's probably going to be a hybrid stream or something along those lines. We'll figure it out tomorrow. In any case, I'm going to be back then. Till then, good night.